arguably for the first time ever in history, willingly, if not enthusiastically, gave control of the government to people they believed had a dramatically different view.
The Majority Report with Sam Seder, where every day's Casual Friday. That means Monday is Casual Monday, Tuesday, Casual Tuesday, Wednesday, Casual Hump Day, Thursday, Casual Thurs, that's what we call it, and Friday, Casual Shabbat. The Majority Report with Sam Seder.
It is Friday, January 20th, 2017. My name is Sam Seder. This is the four-time award-winning Majority Report. We are broadcasting live. The steps from the industrially ravaged Gowanus Canal in the heartland of America, downtown Brooklyn, USA. And ladies and gentlemen, special coverage of the inauguration of the president-electoral Donald Trump, sworn in as the president-electoral with the greatest loss in popular votes, the most corrupt and incompetent cabinet, the lowest approval ratings in history, also with himself and associates being investigated by 5 intelligence and law enforcement agencies. Coverage of Donald Trump's swearing-in inauguration with what seems to be the sparsest crowd in modern history of inaugurations, ladies and gentlemen. If you look at the shot that they have taken, now, this isn't really that important. It's just an indicative of just how deeply, deeply unpopular this man is. And if you look at the shot from behind, and I think we can see this now, from behind the podium, it looks like there's a lot of people there. And there certainly are a lot of people there. I mean, there's more people there than are in the studio, for instance. However, if you look at the shot from the Washington Memorial going forward, you realize, like, wow, there are like 2.5 large sections which are cordoned off, I mean, because of past experience, that are empty. I mean, during both inaugurations for President Obama, they were completely full. Now, is this important? No, it's simply indicative. On a day where it's so much about pomp and circumstance and symbolism and the majesty, I mean, it's important to note there's just not as many people there. And not to mention, you have over 50 Democratic congressmen who are not in attendance. And really, a lot of Republicans, I think, are not there. Not elected Republicans, but a lot of the old-time Republican Party members just simply didn't show up. Now, that's not getting a lot of attention. Of course, there's a lot of other stories going on today. I mean, the New York Times reported last night that the FBI investigation of Donald Trump and his associates relative to Russia continues. And they apparently did get that FISA warrant because they have had, according to this piece, wiretap communications have been provided to the White House, according to one official. Intelligence reports based on some of the wiretapped communications have been provided to the White House. So, yeah, there's that shot right there. Look at that. Look at all that empty space. In fact, it appears as if they tried to spread it out by not filling up the ones closest to the president electoral. That's pretty impressive. All right, turn up a little bit of the sound. Let's have a little bit of sound. Let's hear.
In the same way, let your good deeds shine out for all to see, that everyone will praise your heavenly Father. Respectfully, in Jesus' name.
Oh, well, that was apropos, right? We also have perhaps.
We come to you, Heavenly Father.
Oh my God, another one. Let's hear this. Wait a second. How many different?
Grateful hearts, thanking
This
you
is
for this
Pastor
great
Paula
country
White
that
Kane
you have
of the New
decreed to your
Destiny
people.
Christian Center.
We
Now, if there's a
acknowledge
story
we are a
about
blessed
her,
nation with a rich history of faith and fortitude, with a future that is filled with
I'm going to
promise
turn on my
and
I am
purpose.
thing here.
We recognize that every good and every perfect gift comes from you.
This
and the
is
United
Donald
States
Trump's
of America is your
spiritual
gift, for which
advisor.
we proclaim our gratitude.
She's a televangelist,
As
of course.
a nation, we now pray for our president.
She made her name on
Donald
television.
John Trump.
Just turn it down just a
Vice
little bit.
President Michael
She is also
Richard
on her
Pence
third
and
marriage
their families.
to the
We ask that
journey
you
rocker
bestow on our
Jonathan
president
Cain.
the wisdom necessary
And
to lead this great nation,
their 15-year relationship
grace
began
to
when Trump
unify
cold
us,
called her.
and the strength to stand for what is
I can only
honorable
imagine
and
what
right
that
at your
was.
side.
That
In
was
Proverbs
about.
21:1, you instruct us that our
She
leader's
claims
heart
that
is in your
Donald
hands.
Trump is saved.
Gracious God,
He has received
reveal
Jesus
to our
Christ as
president
his Lord and
the
Savior.
ability to know the will, your will,
She knows
the
that he has
confidence
asked for
to lead
forgiveness.
us
It's not
in
clear
justice and
regarding
righteousness.
what or
And
to
the
whom. If it was like a
compassion to
personal
yield
thing, like
to
I
our
apologize for that
veterans.
one time I tried to.
While we know there are many challenges before us,
I don't know.
in
We
every
just
generation,
we
you have
don't know.
provided the strength and power to become that blessed
Apparently, they've
nation.
prayed together quite a
Guide us
bit.
in discernment, Lord, and give us that strength to persevere and thrive.
Her
Now
ministry
bind and
was
heal our
actually a
homes
subject
and
of a 3-year
divisions,
congressional
and
inquiry
join our
led by
nation to your
Chuck
purpose.
Grassley
Thy
for
kingdom
shady
come,
fundraising
thy will
principles
be
and
done.
criticized by other
The
Christians what
psalmist
they called the
declares,
prosperity
"Let
gospel.
your favor be upon this
Yes,
one
I'm starting to get the
nation
sense of
under
what she means
God.
by saved.
Let these United States of
Every time they
America
show that
be
picture
that
from
beacon of
behind,
hope to
it's
all
really
peoples
clear, like,
and nations
it's
under
sparse,
the
man.
a true hope
It's super
for
sparse. If they said,
humankind.
could everybody just
Glory
move up
to the Father,
front, I think they would only get like
the
1/4
Son,
of those things
and the
done.
Holy Spirit. We
Wow.
pray this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Now, to be fair, Grassley's inquiry was just an inquiry. It was not an investigation. And much of their the donations are a... And that is the... if I'm not incorrect, that is the Fascist Tabernacle Choir. What is that? The Fascist... Oh, no, Missouri State. Sorry. I just saw that from the hats. I'm going to turn on the IMs, folks. We're going to be taking phone calls from... from you shortly. In fact, I've got to rig that up. We are, of course, going early today. El Chapo. Oh, also in the news. Well, we'll take this opportunity for this. They all look like they've been heavily drugged. But I think like they were handing out Xanax so that this would not be a traumatic event. There's a picture of Donald Trump and Barron Trump, who seems somewhat distressed at being there, and probably a function of who his father is. But I mean, I don't know. I'm not Bill Frist. So I cannot. Thank you. Film guy Matthew is here. Just a couple of facts to tell you, just briefly. I'm going to get more into this with Cliff Schechter when he comes on in about 45 minutes, about 15, 20 minutes. Only 30 of... remember, now, look at that. Now, there's the shot. That is sparse, man. Look at all that white down there, right, where they're supposed to be covering. I wonder if they put that white... I wonder if that was, like, an attempt by government workers to just show how little amount of people are there.
I saw that it was to do with rain.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But you could be right.
Do we know raining what? I mean, I have seen potential reports that it's actually raining blood in the. Now, Matt, we don't have a sound sheet, right? So I don't know what you got there. Oh, yeah, you do. Okay, great. Mnuchin, do we have the Russian national anthem to play? Of course, when the new president comes out, and the Darth Vader one. Maybe we could pull that as well. I also want to say rest in peace, as we are just going to go down some of the news that we're going to be talking today. Rest in peace to Wayne Barrett. Wayne Barrett, I had the opportunity to interview him, I don't know, probably 3 or 4 times over the course of my career. The most recent was in May of this year on this program when he was, he had done some of the most extensive reporting on Donald Trump for the longest period of time. And he passed away with lung cancer. He's been fighting that for quite some time. And rest in peace. A really an amazing reporter.
Practices and performs about 2 blocks from my home in Springfield, Missouri, so it was easy.
This is Senator Roy Blunt, the chair of the Joint Congressional something on the inauguration. Frankly, not interested. So let's bring him down just to a low murmur so that we can be aware that this thing is still going on. Oh, here's Senator Chucky Schumer.
My fellow Americans.
Oh, please, come on.
We live in a
Just say
challenging
resist.
and tumultuous time.
Resist.
A
Say
quickly
resist.
evolving, ever more interconnected world. A rapidly changing economy that benefits too few
Who
while
allowed
leaving
the
too
G to
many
speak?
behind. A fractured
Hey, wait a
media,
second. This is Donald
a
Trump's
politics
inauguration. Why is there
frequently
two
consumed by
here?
rancor. We face threats, foreign and domestic.
They're booing
In
him.
such times, faith
Turn
in
that
our
on.
government, our institutions, and even our
They're
country
booing him.
can erode. Despite these challenges, I stand here
Now,
today
I wonder,
confident in this
as
great
much as we
country
hear-
for one reason: you, the American people.
As much as we hear these CNN people chastising the Democratic congressional members for
Americans
boycotting this,
have always
because this is
been
about celebrating
forward-looking,
democracy,
problem-solving,
and
optimistic, patriotic,
how much will we
and
hear
decent
them
people.
chastise these
Whatever our
deplorables
race,
at the
religion,
Donald Trump
sexual
inauguration?
orientation,
Yes.
gender identity,
I don't know if they're all
whether we are
deplorables, but enough of them
immigrant
are.
or native-born, whether we live with disabilities or do not, in wealth or in poverty, we are all exceptional in our commonly held yet fierce devotion to our country and in our willingness to sacrifice our time, energy, and even our lives to making it a more perfect union.
Trump seems nervous,
Today
as
we
if
celebrate
one of those
democracy's
jumbotrons are going to
core
start playing
attributes,
a
the peaceful transfer of power.
A hot
tape.
mic.
And every day, we stand up
You
for
just
core
can't sit
democratic
still
principles
for more than 10
enshrined in the
I mean, I got to
Constitution.
imagine it is
The
a real
rule of
concern
law,
for him when he's near a
equal protection
jumbotron,
for
because
all
at any
under
moment,
law, the
it's
freedom
not
of
inconceivable
speech,
that someone gets a
press,
hold of that. I mean,
religion,
look, we saw what the
the
Russians were able to
things
do
that make
with
America
the C-SPAN feed the other day. They could
We
get a hold of the
gain strength
jumbotron.
from reading
The next
our
thing you know, this
history
thing turns into a
and
huge,
listening
like,
to the voices of average Americans.
you know,
They always
cottage
save
industry
us
porn
in
show.
times of strife. One such American was Major Sullivan Ballou. On July
Old
14,
Sully Ballou.
1861, when the North and South were lining up
Yeah, do you want to let
for their first battle,
film guy Matthews
a
speak?
time when our country was bitterly
Hello, everybody.
divided and faith in the
Oh,
future
great.
of
That
our
was great.
country
Thank you. I
was
Just
appreciate
testing.
that.
Just testing.
Okay, he's
I was
here.
just saying I don't think they're booing. I think they're saying Jew.
Jewing. They're Jewing.
Jew.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah.
I don't know where Michael is, folks. If you're wondering, I don't know. He had a prior commitment, different show he had to do today. So,
I could do my Michael impression if that was helpful.
Please do.
Not even going there.
Oh, all right, I'm sorry to hear that.
Although I did one once. I think I was in high school, or maybe I was in college, but maybe I was in grade school. That's my Michael impression.
There is a lot of air on that mic. I can hear it. I don't know what.
I am ready. I have no misgivings about.
I don't think it's the mic itself. I mean, tell him to give that a try.
And my courage does not halt.
We're going to work on that. In the meantime, I'll take some IMs. Cliff will be joining us. Wow, look how empty it is. They didn't even fill up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They didn't even fill up half of those. That sounds just as bad.
To lay down all my joys in this life to help maintain this government and to pay that debt.
MR member, Sam, what cabinet position will El Chapo get? I don't know. Smurf, the Trump lovers don't give Tuchin of his staff. These folks have last-placed aversion. Not a pot to piss in now, and won't have a pot after this shit show, but at least they can get their jollies seeing those others, like gay, women, immigrants, people of color, are harassed, demeaning, marginalized, and repressed. I think there's something to that.
At the first battle,
Geek Wonk, thanks for watching with us, Sam. Much easier to handle with your perspective. Well, thank you for watching with us, because it's much. I don't think I could watch this if I was sitting alone at home. I think I would. David Brooks is being annoying as F on. I found all of them.
Greatest country on earth, and that spirit lives on in each of us. Americans whose families have been here for generations.
Wow, Chuck Schumer's really. We get it.
And I know our best days are yet to come. I urge all Americans to read Ballou's full letter. His words give me solace, strength, I hope.
Martinberg, it's so awful. Dr. Bone, Dems boycotting the inauguration must have freed up space for Sheldon Adelson, who's on the dais. I'm curious what Republicans aren't there that you would expect.
Clarence Thomas administers the oath of office to the Vice President.
Oh boy, here we
of the
go.
United States.
Now, this is very appropriate in many ways. Clarence Thomas, of course, famous for sexually harassing women who, Anita Hill, amongst others. There were others who came forward who were not heard by the committee. This is, I believe, where Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas
Vice President-elect,
asks if anybody sees a pubic hair on this coke can.
I, Michael Richard Pence, do solemnly swear
I, Michael Richard Pence, do solemnly swear
that I will
can you
support
believe
and
this?
defend the
Horrible.
Constitution of the United States.
that I will
Look at the
support and
smile on
defend the
Paul Ryan's
Constitution
face.
of the
I
United
stand it.
States
He couldn't be happier. He can't believe this is happening,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
including your president.
Bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
That I will bear true faith
You
and
know,
allegiance
he
to the
said
same.
that against
I take
foreign and
this
domestic
obligation
enemies with a
That I take
fervor
this obligation
that
freely
he may recall
any
when it comes
mental
time for him to come out and say it's with
or
a heavy
purpose
heart
of evasion.
without any mental reservation
that
or
I
purpose of evasion.
And
endorse this impeachment
that I
effort
will well and faithfully
of the
discharge
President of the
And
United
that I will
States.
well
I took a vow on that
faithfully
day.
the duties of the office on which I'm about to enter.
The duties of the office on which I am about to enter.
They're going to have a heart
So
attack.
help me God.
Can't
So
believe we're
help me
here.
God.
Look at Paul Ryan. It's just like, I'm going to get everything I ever dreamed of.
God bless.
Get your taxes down. No, Thank
There you go. Sam, your lack of pledge pin on your uniform is shocking. However, your hair looks terrific. Says Left Coast Lefty. Ronald Reagan, we must continue to shame our representatives who voted or supported Trump. This thing's going to implode, and when it does, these people must be held accountable. They will try to pretend like this wasn't foreseeable. Theory, Matthew Film Guy is a serial killer. The items on his eBay page are trophies he steals from his victims. That's a little bit sort of out there, but okay.
They're still available.
Here's a fun fact about today's inauguration that I think people might enjoy. During the preparation for Friday's transfer of power, a member of Trump's transition team, according to the Huffington Post, floated the idea of including tanks and missile launchers in the inaugural parade. A source involved in the inaugural planning told the Huffington Post they were legit thinking Red Square North Korea-style parade.
Yikes.
God can do this. God can use this man.
What? Who's saying that?
That's a nice sound drop from
Oh,
Matt.
okay. I thought that was like, oh, geez.
That just covers everything.
Let's provide the correction. We're going to fix this audio, I think. It's the, I think the, here we go. Oh, so Matthew Film Guys brought in a bottle of vodka to celebrate.
Best drink on Inauguration Day.
It'll be good to know that the reason why they did not bring in the tanks and missile launchers, partly because of the optics. And then the other one is that they were worried that the tanks would destroy the roads in Washington. Military source said I could absolutely see structural support being a reason not to use tanks. So
Look at all those
there
red
you have
hats
it.
in the crowd. Wow.
They're all wearing the red-hatted uniform.
That's how it starts.
Wow, not many people. So sparse. I think there was more people at the 828 rally I went
That's
to.
just what I was thinking. There
Right?
definitely was.
We went down there.
Yep.
Matthew Film Guy was actually the film guy for the.
I was the film guy. I didn't get this name for no reason.
Nate, any chance Three Doors Down is going to use their stage time to protest Trump? Colleen, I can hear you guys, but I can't see what you were watching when I go to your YouTube site. Is that right? Huh?
We've cut a few times, but it's usually on.
Okay, Missouri Blues. I stopped listening to everything political after November 8th. I'm paying attention again now. What have I missed? At what time on November 8th did you stop listening? I may have some bad news for you. Jimmy Reefer Cake, I hope you liked my song as much as Chris Lapaco did. We will get to that song before we pick up Cliff.
Jimmy's got more plugs than Donald Trump's hair.
Folks, we're also going to be taking calls from people who are protesting around. If you are protesting, be prepared to call in about half an hour. There are protests all across the country, and even more are planned for tomorrow. Tomorrow, I think Washington is actually going to be genuinely crowded as people make their way down there. And someone just IM'd, is Barron playing a Game Boy? It does not appear so.
He always looks like he'd rather be anywhere else.
I feel like... oh, okay, here we go.
Will administer the presidential oath of office. Everyone, please stand.
Here we go. John Roberts coming to the thing. I got the sound drop after this. Donald Trump. Ooh. Hair is looking a little thin today.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
That I will faithfully execute.
That I will faithfully execute.
Oh, what a
office of
crap show,
President of
folks.
the United States.
The office of President of the United States.
And will, to the best of my ability.
Where's
And
Mark
will,
Burnett?
to the best
He's got to
of
come
my
down and stop
ability,
this.
Preserve, protect, and defend.
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution of the United States.
the Constitution of the United States.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
Good luck to us all.
Nice. They've had a very strange choice of music to play. It's weird. You would imagine to hear something a little bit more American than the Russian anthem and then Uber Alles. It's very weird. But, you know, they wanted to make this unique. Trump ascending to the presidency as the loser, big-time loser, the popular vote. And are our own military personnel firing on the presidency? I can't see what's going on. They seem to be shooting mortars. I can't. Okay.
They're shelling the Trump International Hotel.
There you go. All right. Well, here's that boy Blunt again. Who's coming up to speak? Oh, God. They're going to let him speak? Is this serious? Oh, okay. Can't believe I'm here. Unbelievable. Absolutely amazing. Oh, my God.
I don't know what I said. I don't remember.
President Carter, President Clinton, President Bush, President Obama, fellow Americans, and people of the world, thank you.
People of the world, thank you.
We, the citizens of America, are now joined in a great national effort to rebuild our
impeach
country
me
and restore its promise for all of our people.
Says who?
Together, we will determine the course of America and the world for many, many years to come.
Drink on a many, many.
We will face challenges. We will confront hardships.
Matt,
but
do you have
we
my
will get the
phone
job
computer up?
done. Every 4 years, we gather on these steps to carry out the orderly and peaceful transfer of power. And we are grateful to President Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama for their gracious aid throughout this transition.
Super
They
immature.
have been magnificent. Thank you.
Oh.
They're one of the good ones.
Today's ceremony, however, has very special meaning. Because today,
Oh, you made me happy for a
we
second.
are not merely transferring power from one administration to another, or from one party to another.
Quick.
But we are transferring power from
me.
Washington, D.C., and giving it back to you, the people. For too long, a small group in our nation's capital has reaped the rewards of government, while the people
All of us
have
feel like we're
borne
trapped
the
in a barn
cost.
fire.
Washington flourished, but the people did not share in its wealth. Politicians prospered,
What's going on
but
behind
the
him?
jobs
Are they-
left.
What was
and
that?
the
Was that like a
factories
blockade for
closed.
assassination attempts? What was that military?
I don't know.
The
gathering?
establishment protected itself, but not the citizens of our country. Their victories have not been your victories. Their triumphs have not been your triumphs. And while they celebrated in our nation's capital, there was little to celebrate for struggling families all across our land. That all changes starting right
I
here
didn't start anything with
and
the
right
wife.
now, because this moment is your moment. It belongs to you.
Oh, in that case. I'll take this one, too.
It belongs to everyone gathered here today and everyone watching all across America. This is your day. This is your celebration. And this, the United States of America, is your country.
Say, baby, put down that pipe and get my pipe up.
What truly matters is not which party controls our government, but whether our government is controlled by the people.
What?
That's the part he wrote on the pad.
January 20th, 2017 will be remembered as the day the people became the rulers of this nation again.
I don't think so.
The forgotten men and women of our country will be forgotten no longer.
You are fascinated with sex,
Everyone
and you
is
don't care
listening
about
to you
public
now.
policy.
You came by the tens of millions to become part of a historic
Is Newt not here
movement,
today?
the
No.
likes of which the
Newt
world
was
has
talking to Sheldon
never
Adelson earlier.
seen before. At the center of this movement is a crucial conviction that a nation exists to serve its citizens.
It's a cookbook.
Americans want great schools for their children, safe neighborhoods for their families, and good jobs for themselves. These are just and reasonable demands of righteous people and a righteous public. But for too many of our citizens, a different reality exists.
Oh, they're
Mothers
coming
and
with
children
an umbrella.
trapped in poverty
They're gonna-
in our inner cities.
Are they going to smack him with it?
Rusted out factories scattered like tombstones across the landscape of our nation.
Operation Golden Shower.
An
Go.
education system flush with cash, but which leaves our young and beautiful students deprived
Don't piss down
of
my
all
back and tell me
knowledge.
it's raining.
And the crime, and the gangs, and the drugs
what?
that have stolen too many lives and robbed our country
What are you
of so
talking
much
about?
unrealized potential. This
guy's a douche.
American carnage stops right here.
The American
and
carnage.
stops right now.
Come with me, and we'll be in a world.
We are one
of your
nation,
imagination.
and their pain is our pain.
And
Their
you'll
dreams
see
are our dreams,
into
and their
your
success
imagination.
will be our success.
Their money
we share
is my
one
money.
heart, one home, and one glorious destiny. The oath of office I take today is an oath of allegiance to all Americans.
Believe me. Believe me.
For many decades,
Poopy,
we've
poopy,
enriched
poop.
foreign industry at the expense of American industry, subsidized the armies of other countries, while allowing for the very sad
Well, you got to
depletion
hand it to
of
him.
our
This is
military.
probably one of
We've
the
defended
least
other
inspiring,
nations' borders while
most
refusing
I can just
to
play a
defend our
song
own.
without.
juvenile.
But isn't that funding of the armies of other nations,
And
the whole
spent
Russia influence?
Trillions and trillions of dollars overseas, while America's infrastructure has fallen into disrepair and decay. We've made other countries rich, while the
This is
wealth,
not too
strength, and
dissimilar from
confidence
his
of our country
convention
has
speech.
dissipated over the horizon. One by one, the factories shuttered and left our shores, with not even a thought about the millions and millions of American workers that were left behind. The wealth of our middle class has been ripped from their homes and then redistributed all across the world.
Well, I mean, not the least by which
But that is the
Steve Mnuchin
past.
helped on that
And
quite a
now
bit, actually.
We are looking only to the future.
He doesn't mean any of this. They know that.
We assembled here today are issuing a new decree to be heard in every city, in every foreign capital, and in every hall of power. From this day forward, a new vision will govern our land. From this day forward, it's going to be only America first. America first.
Jesus, this is pretty dark stuff, isn't it?
Isn't that literally a neo-Nazi
trade,
organization,
on
America
taxes,
First?
On immigration, on foreign affairs, will be made to benefit American workers and American families. We must protect our borders from the ravages of other countries.
We've been ravaged.
Stealing our companies
And I know from ravaging.
destroying our jobs.
Hold for applause.
I thought this was supposed to be inspiring.
Protection will lead to great prosperity and strength.
Strength.
I will fight for you with every breath in my body, and I will never, ever let you down.
I fear that radical Muslims who want to control the Middle East and ultimately the world would love to see in God we trust, stricken from our money and replaced with in Muhammad we trust.
We will bring back our jobs. We will bring back our borders. We will bring back our wealth. And we will bring back our dreams. We will build new roads and highways and bridges and airports and tunnels and railways all across our wonderful nation. We will get our people off of welfare and back to work, rebuilding our country with American hands and American labor. We will follow two simple rules: buy American and hire American.
Oh my God.
We will seek friendship and goodwill with the nations of the world. But we do so with the understanding that it is the right of all nations to put their own interests first. We do not seek to impose our way of life on anyone, but rather to let it shine as an example. We will shine for everyone to follow.
At Trump University, we teach success. That's what it's all about.
We will reinforce
Success.
old alliances.
It's going to happen to you.
Donald Trump is without question the world's most famous businessman. As a real estate developer,
which we will eradicate completely from the face of the earth.
Did he say good taste? What was he talking about there? He's going to eradicate.
At the bedrock of our politics will be a total allegiance
What
to
happened?
the United
He
States
just had
of
some
America.
acid
Through our loyalty to our
reflux.
country, we will rediscover
Even he
our
can't swallow this
loyalty
stuff.
to each other. When you open your heart to patriotism, there is no room for prejudice.
Can I see your work on that?
Surprise, surprise.
They're laughing at
The
him.
Bible tells us how good and pleasant
Look at
it
those two
is
people coming up.
when God's people live together in unity.
Okay, got
we
it.
must speak
Got it.
our minds openly,
And what
debate our
is
disagreements
prejudice?
honestly, but always pursue solidarity. When America is united, America is totally unstoppable.
Oh, come on. That is
Oh
just
my God!
too good.
No fear.
Oh, wait, that's you doing that?
Yeah. You son of a...
Be protected.
Oh, that
We
would
will
have
be
been
protected
great.
by the great men and women of
Too
our
good.
military
You
and
tease.
law enforcement. And most importantly, we will be protected by God.
Oh, God.
Remember God? I love God.
This is so low
Finally,
rent. But, I
we
mean,
must
this is
think
what,
big
you know,
and dream
this guy would do
even
very
bigger.
good with a YouTube
In
channel.
America, we understand that a nation
Great numbers.
is
Terrific
only
numbers.
living
Oh, my God,
as
I get so many
long
clicks.
as it is striving. We will no longer accept politicians who are all talk and no action, constantly complaining, but never doing anything about it.
Citing his John Lewis tweet? Wow. And these guys are going to make sure of that.
MFer, I want more iced
for
tea.
empty talk is over. Now arrives the hour of action.
Action.
Lights, camera.
We are going to give away all the public land.
Do not
You get a
allow
country. You
anyone
get a country.
to tell you that it cannot be done. No challenge can match the heart and fight and spirit of America. We will not fail. Our country will thrive and prosper again. We stand at the birth of a new millennium.
A what?
ready to
Aluminum
unlock the
millennium?
mysteries
Tyronn
of
Lue, the coach of the
space,
Cleveland Cavs?
to free the earth from the miseries of disease and to harness the energies, industries, and technologies of tomorrow. A new national pride will stir our souls, lift
what?
our sights, and heal
He's getting
our
slurry.
divisions. It's time to remember that old wisdom our soldiers will never forget, that whether we are black or brown or white, we all bleed the same red blood of patriots.
Well, actually, so don't the people you're shooting at.
Yeah, our enemies bleed red
We
too.
all
Yes.
enjoy the same glorious freedoms, and we all salute the same great American flag.
They all enjoy the same freedoms. Is a
And whether
little
a child
bit.
is born in the urban sprawl of Detroit or the windswept plains of Nebraska, they look up at the same night sky. They fill their heart with the same dreams.
This is the purplest
and
prose.
they are infused with the breath of life by
Like
the
Kill Your
same
Darlings.
Almighty Creator.
Yeah.
I remember when I was writing this at Mar-a-Lago.
In the lobby.
In the lobby.
I was inspired by the surroundings.
The multicultural and colored tiles. I mean, people.
From ocean to ocean.
Oh, I see they're waving me off. That's my time. I just want to thank also my producer,
My
and
management who got
Mike
me here.
Barnett, my manager.
Your voice, your hopes, and your dreams will define our American destiny.
Why
And
not
your
just
courage
cover
and
me in a
goodness and
bucket
love
of blood?
Will forever guide us along the way.
Now it sounds like he's making it up.
Together, we will make America strong again.
Wait
We
for
will
it.
make
Wait for it.
America wealthy again.
Here it comes.
We will make America proud again.
Oh, my God.
We will make America safe again.
Say
and
it.
yes, together, we will make America great again. Thank you. God bless you. God bless America.
Oh, thanks for playing. Here's the parting home game.
God bless America.
I was going to say it twice. And I'm a fist pump.
That's what
Wow,
a non-terrorist
good job,
fist pump.
says Barack Obama. He doesn't believe it at all. That was one of the worst speeches I've ever heard a grown man give.
I had the worst travel experience.
Oh, Michael's back from his other show that he was doing today. Look at that.
Promoting the brand.
Oh, promoting the brand. Well, also working on the brand might be good.
Which brand, though?
What
The
part?
show?
What part of the brand? Like we don't even do our own show. That's how good it is.
At this time, I call on Rabbi Marvin Heyer,
Ugh.
Reverend Franklin Graham, and
Ugh.
Bishop Wayne T. Jackson to provide readings and the benediction.
Yes, it's really more of an epithet, right, for the country?
God can use this man.
Let's hear what the rabbi has to say. You know, what are you going to do?
He's a nice schmucky.
Eternal God, bless President Donald J. Trump.
And keep him far away from us.
Guide us to remember the words of the
Remember
psalmist.
the words.
Who may dwell on your holy mountain? One who does what is right and speaks the truth. Who knows?
I mean, do we really even need to?
Labor of your hands.
Wind,
You
wind,
are
wind,
praiseworthy.
wind, wind.
That he who sows in
What is he looking for? A splitter?
shall reap in joy.
It would be over there
Because
or around the
freedoms
corner.
we enjoy are not granted in perpetuity, but must be reclaimed.
This guy probably
by
runs
each
like a
generation.
settlement project.
You know
or
what?
something.
Instead of the benedictions, let's play Jimmy Reefer Cake's song.
So we must plant
I think that's with shots of Donald Trump in the background. This song was submitted by our listener, Jimmy Reefer Cake.
Songwriter.
We're going to turn down the rabbi with all due respect. Rabbi, may you go in peace. May you live in peace.
Unless you live in a settlement.
Right.
Jimmy's song is called Donnie Trump.
Donnie Trump. You can keep the image up. What's
like giving?
Just play a song without any mistakes.
Oh, hopefully I don't laugh too hard during your song.
Here it goes.
Oh, this is with Chris
Hey
Lapaka.
there, people. I'm
Oh,
Donnie
nice.
Trump. Popping Viagra, getting ready to hump. My airplane is fast, and I ain't no wussy. I kiss all the girls and grab them by the pussy. At the beauty pageant, I'm acting cool. Thank you. Did I mention Wharton was my business school? I got a Russian whore here who wants to make some paper. I'll give her first prize, maybe later I'll rape her. Oh God, I am the American dream. President reality to the extreme. And I'm a lying son of a bitch. Gonna build a big wall and get real rich. Build a big wall and get real rich. Mike Pence was looking sexy in his business suit. And he said, for an old man, you're still kind of cute. I got him doing my presidential promo. And none of the jocks can even tell I'm a homo. Eventually, Mike became a close friend. Sort of
Look how thin. Look how thin
S&M.
it looks.
Because everyone
Take
hates
about
him.
an hour on the Tower of Power, as long as I get a little golden shower. Oh God, I am the American dream, with a spindle up my butt till it makes me scream, 'cause I like it real dirty and bad.
Yeah.
I lay awake nights saying thank you, Vlad. Big bad Vlad with your hand in my ass. Oh, oh God, I'm so fantastic. The Russian whores know I'm a sexual spastic, and my name is Donnie Trump. Watch me
Sensing a theme.
ready to hump.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. That was a
Lyrics by Sam Seder.
That was Jimmy Reefer Cake doing a song on the Chris Lapaka show. And we just thought that would be a great tribute to our president electoral.
Actually, great to play over Franklin Graham Jr. I did like that timing.
Yes. Nothing could be more appropriate. I don't know anything about Bishop Wayne T. Jackson. I don't know anything about Bishop Wayne T. Jackson, but I would guess what's up. He's a. Are you drinking vodka straight now? You guys are drinking vodka. All right. Well, okay.
It's true.
All right. I mean, I can't argue with that. And I guess we should let's bring in Cliff Schechter into this. What happened? The microphone's not working now? Okay. You guys will just share the mic. I'm going to call Cliff. We will bring him in. We will. I don't know. It's a special.
Hello.
Cliff, we are live.
Hello.
Welcome to the program.
Why, thank you.
We are watching the inauguration. I don't know if you have been, if you're aware that
Absolutely not.
They allowed Trump to take the oath. They did. There were some special.
In Russian?
There was some caveats. They did say at the end, this is all, of course, conditioned upon the investigation that is currently criminal justice organizations. All right, let's put up the volume a little bit.
Of course,
Cliff,
Obama said.
You should be able to hear this.
Of the national anthem.
Okay, now they're singing the national anthem. It's weird. Again. Now, why would they play this one? No. Okay, here we go. This is... Now, just for the record, because this is the type of crap that we're going to start to hear under this type of regime, he didn't put his hand on his chest until later, and he's patting it. So I just want to say that because this is what happens.
It's made me hopeful there.
In these type of regimes, okay? I've been here before. When they want to divert from the fact that they're either their policies are horrible for the American people or they're not doing anything, it's going to be about flag lapel pins and religious issues and war on Christmas and who put their hand on their chest. Just remember that it wasn't until about a quarter of the way through the national anthem did Donald Trump put his hand on his chest and pound it as if he's like, what? What am I supposed to be doing again?
Wait, hold on 1 second.
Okay. I'm feeling my breath.
Kiss his fingers kind of like Sammy Sosa, or no?
No.
His fingers aren't big enough
but
for
you know
that.
what you're talking about, Sam? The key is to always remember what what Sinclair Lewis said.
Please
you know what I mean?
Which is?
Yo mama.
Which is Obama. I don't think there's anything about Obama. But, you know, about the thing about when fascism coming to this country, it will come with a cross and
right.
a flag or something of that nature. I don't think I'm getting it exactly right, but you get what I'm saying.
It'll come being a sexually assaulted game show host.
Well, there's that too, with bad hair and stuff. But I mean, that as you're pointing out about the flag lapel pins and all that sort of stuff, that will, you know, and War and Christmas and all that. They'll make it about religion and greatness of country and all of that because that distracts from all the shit they're actually doing.
Indeed, and that's just important to just remember. Now,
Remain standing while the president and official party depart the platform. You will be released by sections shortly.
And then you will be brought to your internment.
And so now the United States has a new president, the 45th president
God.
of the United States.
Fuck you.
Donald J. Trump. He takes office.
I'm just going to
look at Melania walking off with the Marine guy. She knows what's up.
Thank you for calling in the Majority Report.
I am just.
The host will be with you shortly.
Protect me from bad man.
Am I hearing weird voices?
Yeah, don't worry about that.
Now it's the job of the Secret Service to make sure they walk through the streets of D.C. They don't come across any mattresses that have been thrown out. So Trump feels like he needs to stop for a pee break.
All right, so now they're.
By Washington insiders. There was nothing really particularly conservative about this Republican president's speech. It was pure populism. And in fact, it looked at the United States.
Well, I would say also nationalism.
In a way that departures greatly.
Racism, xenophobia,
little
conspiracy
xenophobia.
theories, lies.
Carter.
Actually, beyond lies.
Mostly just fear-based.
Hey, how's everyone doing?
Oh, Jake Tapper, using the parlance of it was completely consistent with his core brand proposition. Didn't quite say that, but came pretty close. All right, so let's put down that volume. Let's talk to Cliff. So Cliff, there is there it is. It actually happened. Just under the wire, perhaps. I mean, who knows? Big story last night. Let's start with this, okay? And we'll keep up the footage to see what happens, and we'll tune in as it goes. First off, I got to just say, you didn't see this, Cliff. You didn't watch the inauguration, but the attendance, and I wonder if they're going to be talking about this. Oh, is that...
The attendance was terrible, wasn't it?
The attendance was terrible. I mean, if you look at the shots from the dais, you can't tell. But if you look at the shots from the Washington Memorial, incredibly sparse between the memorial and the Capitol steps. Very sparse.
Yeah. Well, did you see that in a sort of interesting act of potential subtweeting, Metro, DC Metro tweeted out how many people had been on the Metro this morning?
Really?
And it was like 193,000, and 4 years ago it was I think 317,000.
I wonder how many it was 8 years
before
ago.
That, it was over 500,000.
Wow.
So if you want to compare first terms, yeah, not so good. He had about 40% of the attendance, at least by Metro figures, on the Metro. He had 40% of the people that Obama had in 2009.
Obama should call himself a ratings machine.
And let me just point out why I think this is important. Because Donald Trump, according to his biographers, and I think certainly, I mean, to the extent that we can glean from his behavior, is very concerned that he is an illegitimate president. In fact, yesterday, do we have audio of this? Do we have audio of him saying, next time I'm going to do it the old-fashioned, I'm going to win the old-fashioned way? Honestly, he went
Does that mean without Russia and the FBI?
Well, I mean, I don't know what it means.
I'm doing this one all by myself, Vladimir.
I mean, I don't know what that means. But well, maybe he means the popular vote. What it means to me is he is defensive. It's not like somebody's asking him this question. It means that this is in the forefront of his mind. If he says, I'm going to win it the real way next time, or the better way, or something like that, he is extremely defensive about his win.
Listen,
and his legitimacy.
You don't need a lot of, I mean, the thing that I've always found most amazing about Trump is that there's other Republicans. The classic example would be someone like his vice president, who's very good at looking you in the face and saying one thing and meaning completely something else, smiling and doing it in a friendly way and not lashing out and whatever. But Trump, that's what's always offended me so much about how the media covered him, is completely transparent. He can't be anything else besides in terms of his emotions, because he's the emotional control of a child. So, because of all of his constant, Donald Trump, the ratings machine, and all that kind of crap that he tweets out, how important numbers are to him. They mean everything. How many people watched me on TV? How many people voted for me? How many people showed up? That's all that matters in this guy's brain.
Not many.
That's success. Small numbers equal failure. That's it. So it's killing him. I mean, it is, and it has been the whole time, which is why he's felt the need to tweet out stuff about how he blew, Hillary away, and it wasn't even close, and all these silly things like that. Because this is a person who his entire life has felt like a failure because of when things like bankruptcies happen and all this other stuff. Everything needs to be bigger, everything needs to be better, there needs to be more money, needs to be whatever, and he's never lived up to that, and this is the ultimate failure. I mean, ascending to president when losing by 2.86 million votes is a hell of a thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think
he's never going to get over that.
I mean, I think. Look, I mean, he clearly is dogged. I mean, if you read what these biographers have written about Trump, he's clearly dogged by this sense of insecurity that because his dad not just loaned him whatever it was, $1 million, $14 million. It's not just that. It was that he co-signed every deal, that Donald Trump deep down knows that all of those big deals that he made for the first 15 years of his career were a function of his dad co-signing these deals for him. And so he has this sense of illegitimacy. We had an owner at Air America who had a similar dynamic, who felt that he needed to prove that he could make money because he hadn't up to then. And
does his name rhyme with dark mean?
No, actually, no. He had not even that level of shame, but the point being, so when we play fart noises when the president says, or when I refer to him as president electoral, or I keep reminding people that the attendance for his inauguration was, probably on par with what it was back in the 1700s. Now, he may come out and say, that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to make it like the founding fathers.
Of course. But minority president-elect is a good one, too.
Imagine you have slavery and iPhones.
But the point being that this is part of the resistance. Now, I don't want to spend too much time on that aspect of it because it's childish. Of course it is. but I don't care.
But in a way, I know. I mean, in a way, look, it makes us all feel better because the guy is such an a-hole. But it's not just that. It's that any part of strategy is figuring out where your opponent is weak. And the truth is, you could sit there. If this were Mitt Romney, it may make you feel good to do it, but you'd be wasting your time because he doesn't evaluate himself the same way. None of that would matter. I think the same thing with George W. Bush. But knowing that Trump does, from, as you said, not just from every biographer, just from being, I mean, if you just understand basic human nature and watch how the guy behaves, make up for all his shortcomings in his mind. No pun intended, of course. So you want to mess with that because the truth of the matter is that the more emotional energy he's wasting on coming after you on Twitter and doing stupid things like that, the less he's thinking smart in a smart way about what he can do to dismantle this country.
Now, one thing I noticed,
I see it.
One thing, I mean, I think that's true, and I think I'm quite concerned about I think the real political fight is going to be with Congress, and people shouldn't get too distracted. I think by Donald Trump because much of it I think is just a distraction in many respects. So, all right, let's start with this, Cliff. One of the things I noticed was Mike Pence really hitting that line in his oath about protecting the United States from enemies within and without, or something to that effect. I can't. And it was as if he was
He's feeling a little insecure too.
Well, it's as if he was punching that so that when he has to call back on it, when he has to sign on to the impeachment of President Trump, that he's got some. Well, you remember when I said that up on my vow last night. The New York Times reported the following: the FBI is leading the investigations, or I should say, Manafort is among Paul Manafort is among at least three Trump
people being investigated.
At least three Trump campaign.
And you know
advisors.
what's amazing about that article? I don't mean to cut you off, Sam, but I found this so amazing, which is Flynn isn't even included.
Well, wait a second. Let me just read what it is because people don't know what it is. Is among at least three Trump campaign advisors, and in other places we've heard four. So Flynn is not included in this. Whose possible links to Russia are under scrutiny. Two others are Carter Page and Roger Stone. The FBI is leading the investigations aided by the National Security Agency, the CIA, and the Treasury Department's Financial Crimes Unit. The investigators have accelerated their efforts in recent weeks, but have found no conclusive evidence of wrongdoing. One official said intelligence reports based on some of the wiretapped communications had been provided to the White House. Now, we should go on to say, just to be fair here, that they're not saying that there's any conclusive evidence at this point. This is just saying that you have 4 or 5 agencies that are working on an investigation. It is also sort of sideways.
Well, there's a key
saying,
just for context for people. What you said is exactly right, but also the reason the reason that they're conducting this investigation is apparently from evidence or whatever they came across that made them think they needed to conduct this investigation there were some people in both the Ukraine and Russia, with ties to Putin and the FSB, who because of that, they had been wiretapping already. So it wasn't like they went out and said, we need to wiretap these 3 Trump guys. Some evidence apparently came across them, names mentioned, who knows, we don't know, by wiretapping these guys who are known to be Putinites or have ties to organized crime there or whatever it may be, but that they were of interest. So
the decision to open the investigation was not based on a dossier of salacious, uncorroborated allegations that were compiled by that former British spy. The FBI is also examining the allegations in that dossier and a summary of its contents. Representatives of the agencies involved declined to comment. Of the half dozen current and former officials who confirmed the existence of the investigations, some said they were providing information because they feared the new administration would obstruct their efforts. All spoke on condition of anonymity because they're not authorized to discuss the case. So so the key here is there are multiple investigations now into Trump or into figures that Trump has surrounded himself with for these kinds of connections. This is a different investigation from the as you said, the dossier and what is in there and other various connections that Trump has had.
So there you go.
And, we should also say, look, this is another leak by we don't know who, presumably. I mean, it'll be interesting to it would be interesting to know what agencies these people came from. If the leaks came from the CIA, as opposed to, or let me put it this way, if the leaks came from any specific agency, it would give us a better sense of what the agenda is behind our knowing this. If the leaks, if the leaks have come from the FBI, it's another thing than it would be if it came from the CIA, just in terms of getting a sense of what the agenda is, because we know that there's at least been some reporting that there's been a battle between the CIA and the FBI on this, but it seems like the FBI is not necessarily as aggressively fighting against this. I mean, it's impossible.
And we know that there's a third investigation by the Justice Department into Comey and his behavior, and we don't know this for a fact yet. It's been written by a couple, what's his name, Schindel, who's who ironically enough writes on national security for The Observer, who's I guess Trump's son-in-law is working on selling that. And he wrote about, and again, I don't know if this is true, I just know what he wrote. We do know that the investigation is going on into Comey. That we know.
This is the moment where Barack Obama is now getting on the helicopter and leaving. This is sort of the iconic moment where Donald Trump pops a Tic Tac and kisses the former First Lady goodbye, presumably with her permission, but we don't know. He's now the president.
And we'll be asking a lot of those questions.
I just have to say, Michelle does a significantly less better job than Barack at not pretending to not be utterly disgusted by these people.
Yeah,
and I feel her.
There's Barack Obama waving goodbye, getting into the helicopter, the iconic shot that we.
Then there's the quote by Dave. There's the
and
I don't know what's going on the screen, so you tell me if you want me to continue or.
Hold on give me 1 second. I'll get Donald Trump is now. He's actually the president, and he's walking with the new First Lady Melania Trump. Do we know if she's the First Lady or is it Ivanka? Have we determined that yet?
Why do I want to be First Ladies? I just want to make money.
Pleasant small talk with President Trump.
I think Ivanka really is the First Lady.
Michelle Obama, former First Lady.
Small talk.
And now the Trump and
there were moments when the camera caught her that it
Pence.
seemed like she was really having.
So now we have a vicious sociopath trust fund baby and his pucker-faced kids running the country with an unlimited spy budget and global kill apparatus.
A very, very intense
All right.
Marine One
Here we go.
is now lifting off.
Leaving the White House with
He actually was not such a bad guy.
high approval
Hi, Barack.
ratings, immense popularity amongst the American people.
Her popularity is even higher than his.
He really took care of the country.
It is sort of stunning how little CNN is mentioning the fact that Donald Trump approval ratings are on average the low 40s, probably high 30s, if you go across the 5 major polls that have been taken on this.
Which is pretty terrible.
It's
because even George W. Bush,
stunning.
Who obviously came in under. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, no, you're right. It's stunning. George W. Bush came in. He was selected by the Supreme Court.
The Supreme Court, and he was in the 60s.
Yeah.
So just as the Obamas were, depending upon the polls, the high 70s to 80. So that's your context of the last 2 presidents versus where the.
And that's why, that is one thing that people should be encouraged about in terms of fighting this administration. Cliff, you recall back in the early aughts, and certainly Film Guy Matthew, who's here, who had worked on my movie, which I had basically written about feeling completely isolated and muted in my dissent with George Bush's presidency. It was very alienating at that time to be against George Bush because, broadly speaking, across the country, particularly after 9/11, you were fairly isolated in that perspective.
Yeah.
And now, at the very least, the upside, although I think it's a much worse situation, the upside is that you're in the majority, not just in terms of who you voted for, but in your disposition to Donald Trump. I mean, he's got extremely low approval ratings. Now, people
pretty strong majority.
People shouldn't get too ecstatic about that because his numbers are not so low, in the 60s for the Republican Party, which is low for a incoming Republican president. But in the states that are going to come into play in terms of the Senate in 2018, he's still doing well because white former members of the Confederacy, I should say the states, still seem to appreciate him for some strange reason. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's his southern roots.
There's just a certain je ne sais quoi he has. He also hates black people.
We'll have to see how it all goes. I mean, obviously, with some of the investigations going on and other things, he doesn't have Hillary Clinton as a foil anymore.
Well, that's the interesting thing.
Turn down to distract and to see what happens. If his numbers still have plenty of room to fall.
Well, that's one thing that we're going to talk about more going forward, I think, Cliff, in the coming weeks. But right now, his foil is the press, right? And he doesn't have Hillary Clinton anymore. It's very hard to imagine him being able to go out and tell the American public that Nancy Pelosi, through her secret powers, or Chuck Schumer, through his secret powers, are preventing the Republican agenda, right? This is the guy who said, I can do it all by myself. And he's not just doing it by himself. He has a Republican House and a Republican Senate. And so it is going to be interesting to see who becomes the foil. I'm not convinced that Paul Ryan is really in as comfortable of a situation as he appears to be in, as he probably thinks he's in at this point, because I think Donald Trump will turn on a dime if he feels like he needs to at some point. And it's a whole new ball game.
They all clearly know that, too. I mean, it's not like he didn't, again, what you saw during the campaign is what you get. And what you saw is, him lashing out, not even just for people like Paul Ryan and most of all Mitch McConnell a bit, not just for them insulting him, but for not giving them, giving themselves over to him fully. You know what I mean?
Yep.
For just sort of not saying how amazing he was. And I mean, again, that is his disposition. Even once he's elected president, he's up, tweeting stuff at night about how his ratings are better than Arnold Schwarzenegger's. I mean, again, this is who he is. There's no sort of hidden guy here. George W. Bush, I think a lot of us had a pretty good idea what he was, but he at least, he ran as a compassionate conservative. He said on a number of issues like campaign finance reform and an assault weapons ban, other stuff, he supported them, and then just magically kind of ignored that part of things when it suited him. But, he at least tried. Many people thought he was going to be a lot more moderate because he ran as somebody much more moderate. There's no hiding what Trump is. The level of ignorance, the level of vitriol and insecurity, this has all been on full display.
All right, so just wrapping up that New York Times story, I mean, I think the bottom line is we don't know any more, really, I think, broadly speaking, than we did before. I mean, I think we had a sense of that there was an investigation going on about banks, Russian banks, and money coming into the country, into campaign advisors for Donald Trump. The real question going forward is going to be, is there going to be a Saturday Night Massacre where we see mass firings now we're going to have a new head of the CIA. We're going to have a new head of the Treasury. We're going to have a new head of the NSA. The one area where we're not going to have a new head is the FBI. Now,
but it's also
Jeff
important
Sessions
to note that
is going to be his boss. But
that it wasn't even the head of the FBI who was deep throat. It was somebody higher up, but it wasn't, the point being here that there will be people, the question now becomes, in a government bureaucracy, and there will be many people there who either are not Trump fans right now or won't be eventually, will our government work? If it works, like it's supposed to, like it did with Nixon, you will have people come forward because, again, the guy comes to office. As of this moment, he's technically in violation of our Constitution.
But wait a second. There's two different things here, though, Cliff, because they're saying clearly in this leaks, anyways, that the investigation has not found anything conclusive. As of now, Donald Trump has control of the apparatus directly of all these investigations. I mean, maybe we're just, a day away from Pompeo on Monday, but these investigations can be ground to a halt.
Oh, there's no doubt. But again, there are people inside of these organizations, not on the top level, not who are the directors, who have access to certain materials, who come across things. And the question is, will somebody who comes across something, will they share it? Well, I mean, already we don't know who's leaking stuff from the CIA, but it doesn't mean it's the CIA director. Somebody's putting things out there on Trump right now.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that person won't still. So, again, I'm not predicting it will happen. I'm actually making a statement that I don't know if it will or not. And I think that's going to be a big test for whether our form of government works.
I think
we've gotten our.
I think the real signal is going to be, look, I don't think that's indicative of our government necessarily working, right? I mean, that you're in the middle of an investigation, you haven't concluded anything, and you start leaking this stuff out. The question is whether or not the investigations get shut down, and the only way that we're going to be able to tell that is, I think, with what happens with James Comey. I'm not convinced that he doesn't want to pursue this investigation. I just don't think we hear these leaks without.
I guess I'm saying I'm not even talking about the leaks right now. I mean, somebody's doing it clearly. They may be doing it for various reasons. They're angry at Trump. I'm talking about if he does what you fully expect him to do and what I fully expect him to do, which is to do everything he can to go to these supposedly independent organizations and shut down any investigation into him. To me, then the question of government working is, are there enough other figures there that aren't just political hacks that somebody makes sure the evidence sees the light of day, if it exists?
Right.
And then only time can tell that. Right now, what's being leaked out is, you're right. We're in the midst of an investigation. There's really no reason for the material to be leaked out right now. It's somebody who's pissed off, probably. I mean, maybe it's something to do with him referring to the CIA as Nazis. That might have upset somebody over there a little bit. But eventually, if he does shut these investigations down, as I think we fully expect that he will, or do everything in his power to do, then it's a question of who there is going to have that kind of courage, who might have already seen the information when he does shut it down, who has enough information that they think they can get it out there. And I guess only time can tell with that kind of thing.
All right. Well, let's
Let's
move on. And like I say, I think people just keep an eye on James Comey, because I think if James Comey leaves the administration in the next week or two, or month or two, then I think there's something really problematic going on. There may be something problematic.
Well, again, remember, there's an investigation into Comey, so he could have. I mean, with what he did.
Yeah.
And that's where I guess I was saying right before when we stopped because Obama was getting on the helicopter. There's some writers, people have written about Giuliani and even Eric Prince being ensnared in that. So who the hell knows, right?
We'll see.
There's lots of things out there right now. I guess we're just going to have to see what happens.
Let's talk just briefly. I mean, we've done a lot of coverage of the cabinet this week, but this cabinet, it appears to me, is the most incompetent in some instances. Well, incompetent and antithetical to, in some instances, they're just simply antithetical to the agencies themselves. In other instances, they're completely incompetent. It's pretty stunning. Like the Rick Perry thing. Just the idea that they picked the guy who said we should get rid of the Department of Energy, and on top of it, he didn't know what it did.
Right. He thought it was an oil and gas.
Who wouldn't be qualified for that job if he's qualified?
Right.
Who wouldn't
there have been a heck of a job brownies in past administrations, as we know. But I've never seen the piece you're talking about, Paul Waldman wrote for the Washington Post, The Plumb Line, which is a great piece. And, the thing that I think that I maybe expected is that Trump coming in under the circumstances he was coming in, with people already questioning him in so many ways, his competence, he at least would find competent conservatives. No, I didn't expect him to moderate himself at all. But there were plenty of there's plenty of people, for example, Betsy DeVos, who was shown to not even really understand what public education, how it's measured. She knows nothing of it. Not to mention, a little bit too worried about grizzlies attacking schools. I'm sure you guys in Brooklyn there are a little concerned about that.
Yeah.
So you better arm up.
Rats, huge rats.
There's a number of conservative people who would disagree with you and me all day, who favor vouchers and all that crap, who he could have put in as Secretary of Education. But that's the reason why this guy's businesses go belly up, and why the whole joke of him having the sort of creating the whole image of being a successful businessman. He doesn't put competent people in place. He puts people who help him in place, whether they're good or not. Betsy DeVos was a huge fundraiser for him and supported him. That's why she's there. So it's not just about ideology. That's part of it. But with him, you get the extra layer of people who have no experience. It's Rex Tillerson, who's never been in government, has ties to Russia, doesn't know what the hell he's going to do as Secretary of State, and of course is an oil guy. I mean, it's beyond just people who are very conservative. It's people who have no idea what their agency should be doing, have never worked in government before. I mean, think of someone like Nikki Haley. I mean, you're putting her over at the UN. She has no foreign policy experience whatsoever. You can make an argument of whether she's been a good or bad governor. And I don't even know all the stats on that. I've seen some pretty bad things. I disagree with her ideology 100%. But if he wanted to put her in charge of something where she had some experience, but he puts her over at the UN. Experience means nothing. Competence means nothing.
It's going to be fascinating if there's ever a recounting. And remember, I don't know if these people all signed an NDA as part of the transition team, but it's going to be fascinating to find out how these people got picked and who got which picks, because I imagine a certain number of these picks were a function of Mike Pence, and maybe that was part of the negotiations. Oh, sure. I mean, he's head of the transition, and so a lot of these are Koch brothers picks. And we should note that there are 4,000 positions, right? These are 4,000 new positions in the executive that get filled when an incoming administration comes in. 660 are department heads or have positions that have been deemed by nonpartisan organizations as crucial personnel. Of that 660 now, only 30 positions have been filled. And they're literally running like 400 behind any other administration. Now, part of this is because they fired Chris Christie when he was, months into the process.
Maybe that's something, one of the few things Chris Christie actually could have done well. Maybe not, I don't know. But they fired him, and instead they've got nobody. I mean, a classic example right now, there's a big article on it, is the TSA, where they go to the head of the TSA, they're telling everybody to get lost. So the head of the TSA does what normal people do when somebody's coming into power and telling you to get lost. He made other plans. And of course, being the complete incompetence they are, they put nobody in that position. So they went to him literally a week and a half ago or something, and said, "We need you to stay on." He said, "No, I'm not going to. You told me to leave. I've sought and have gained other employment. I'm leaving." So as of today, there will be nobody running the TSA. I'm sure they'll put somebody interim there, and let's hope whoever that is has a clue what they're doing. But, TSA is a relatively important agency.
Yeah, relatively.
There'd be an example for you.
And this is going all across. Apparently, they were going to fire all of the inspector generals across the government and then reverse themselves when they got pushback a week later. This was reported by the Washington Post. Last Friday, Trump transition officials phoned inspector generals in at least a handful of cabinet departments to indicate they could soon be removed from their posts. But then, after some IGs protested, more senior member of the Trump transition team ordered a new round of phone calls within days to reassure them that they would not be fired. Reagan did this, and it was apparently very controversial. Now, Trump still has about, I think, 1/3 of the IG spots open. He'll be able to fulfill that. They've asked a lot of, like you said, they've asked a lot of Obama staff members to fill in the gaps. And
at the last minute after telling, my guess is the TSA maybe is the most famous one right now. I'm sure there are plenty of other people who were under the impression they were leaving. And suddenly, because these guys didn't do their jobs because Trump is lazy and incompetent, here we are, because this is the way he runs everything, and this is what everyone should prepare for. It's basically federal government by heck of a job, Brownie. You should be prepared for that.
And, this is all from our perspective, or at least from my perspective, I think yours too. This is all good news. I mean, as little equipped as they are to further their agenda, the better, in my perspective.
I think in most cases, when it comes to security and it comes to some things,
of course,
I kind of like somebody there to at least have a clue what they're doing.
Yes.
But yes, in most places, you know what? Nothing they do when it comes to education or when it comes to housing is going to be helpful to anybody.
Indeed.
So if they don't have people in there, I really don't care. Maybe it'll take them longer to hurt people that way.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, exactly. Well, all right. Well, Cliff, we're going to get into all this stuff more next week and in the coming weeks. But I want to remind people, Cliff,
yes.
you got to get better at this, buddy. If you're going to be a podcast host, that you have a GoFundMe. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, Cliff, but you have a GoFundMe to launch an unprecedented podcast, Bigly. You can go.
That is correct, folks. GoFundMe. You can go there and look me up, Cliff Schechter. You probably heard my name before on this show.
You can Google GoFundMe and Cliff Schechter, and it will take you there. It's the first thing that pops up.
We are about 1/3 of the way there, folks. So we're making ground up, and let's keep doing it, because somebody besides just this crew here has to keep our president honest.
Yeah, we're going to need
Sam and the gang have to take some days off.
Indeed.
And, who else are you going to turn to?
Well, we don't take days off, but nevertheless, we're going to need all hands on deck during this. So, folks, head over there, support.
Seriously,
Cliff's
I'll
show.
just say quickly, please. Yeah, thank you, Sam. Please, people, I would appreciate it. I joke a lot about it, but I would love to be able to do this. So, any support would be fantastic. And thank you always for listening. I can't speak English right now.
Cliffy, we'll talk to you next week.
Awesome. Thanks
Bud.
guys. Have a good presidential weekend.
Everybody try. Bye-bye.
Yeah, do your best. Bye.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I guess we'll go into the, we have...
Thank you for calling in the Majority Report.
Matthew Film Guy. We'll do a freebie Friday.
Jesus
today,
Christ.
I
don't know. Is anybody else getting sick again?
Oh, yeah, this has been
I'm starting to have the
nauseating.
same feeling, though, that I had on election night.
What I find interesting is they've flown President Obama and Michelle Obama to Edwards Air Force Base.
Mm-hmm.
But isn't he staying in Washington? So now what are they going to do? They got to drive back into Washington, D.C.? What
Maybe
a pain in the ass.
Maybe he's going on vacation for a couple of days.
You know what I would do? Yeah, that's what I would
probably
do.
what's happening. He's probably jetting off somewhere nice. You know where I bet? They're probably going to Hawaii.
Boom.
I think I read that that they are going on vacation.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean,
I've read that Donald Trump is going on vacation.
yeah. Oh, that's so
Honestly.
funny. You guys are going to be in Hawaii this weekend? I'll see you there. No, don't say goodbye yet. We'll both be on vacation. By the way, we've also offered to hold off on reinstituting segregation so your staff can stay around to help us fill in the gaps for the next couple of months.
Unbelievable.
These people make me almost start to talk like Judy Gold in the sense that they're all fucking disgusting.
Alex
And I hate
McKinnon.
them.
Don't worry, Sam. We can all see how white it is down there. Let's take a phone call, and then we will welcome into onto the program officially Matthew Film Guy. Hold on one second. You're calling from a 862 area code. Who's this?
Oh, hi. I'm Walker. I'm in Colorado right now.
What's your name?
Hello?
Hi.
Walker.
Walker? And
Walker.
What's on your mind, Walker?
Well, a few things. One, I'm assuming it was Matt on the story or soundboard ad-libs during the inauguration, but they were very much on point. And then also, I don't know if it was only me, but during when the kind of military dress guys with the umbrellas, you know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
I in my last vestiges of hope and delusion in the middle of a panic attack was what if they're going to arrest Trump right now and take him away? I thought it would be amazing if that happened. I mean, clearly it wasn't going to happen, but that was my first instinct.
One would have
But
hoped
anyway,
that
thank
his.
you.
Thanks for the call. I
And
appreciate
then
it. Walker.
Tiffany steps out and she's
There-
like, I guess I handed off the dossier at the wrong time, didn't I, Dad?
Sorry.
Sorry, Dad. I guess maybe you should have paid
Donald
had a
Trump
couple
was
of
a
date
genuine,
nights with me.
If he was a genuine showman, that's what he would have arranged for, right?
Totally.
Okay, here's the way you're going to do. Yeah. You're going to arrest me in the middle of my...
And frankly, I'm a little offended that people thought that I hated this country that much that I would actually subject it
Just
to
trying to
complete
get
destruction.
ratings.
Just trying to get
Just
some
trying to get
ratings.
some ratings.
But honestly, now it's time to arrest me. We can't reinstitute apartheid and work for the Russians. By the way, I don't even know a smooth way to transition this, but new character is Russian Trump representative doing generic nonsense talking points like, it's time we have tough campaigns, but now country need to come together. Give Mr. Trump a chance. He's going to have a unity message.
What accent are you talking about?
Well, wait, which one? Oh, I'm sorry. I missed you.
Let's
no,
go.
I think,
One more
I think
phone call,
the
and then
next
we'll bring
level
in
is we're not
Matthew
even
Phone
going
Guy.
Wait, where's Obama now?
You're calling from a 248 area code. Who's this? 248. 248.
I'm rejoining the Chum Gang. Fuck it.
Calling from a 248 area code.
Stickiest
Who's
to
this?
Vicky.
All right, sorry. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have a special guest in studio today. He, of course, it's apropos in many respects because I first met Matthew in the wake of the last horrible election of, well, it wasn't the absolute last. Actually, that was 2005, but it was the the first selection of the last Republican president, now being George Bush. Ladies and gentlemen, Matthew, Film Guy. Oh, Matt dropped the ball. He didn't know that Matthew
Way
was going
to fuck up, Matthew. You don't know the song.
Oh, look at that. Obama's are greeting staff and supporters. Apparently the national anthem's playing, and I can tell because Obama has his hand on his chest.
This is what Obama needs to do. Obama needs to be out literally every day talking about this. I mean, did we talk about the David Axelrod thing? How Obama told David Axelrod in his podcast a couple weeks ago, like, if I feel like American institutions are really under threat, then I am going to come out and speak. And it's like, the fact that you're saying that already means they're under threat.
Exactly.
There's no delay. Like, yes, they're under threat. You need to stay present. Rules don't apply.
That
At least my wife isn't president.
The bottom line, it's sort of that Ann Landers thing, right? Someone writes in, how do I know if my relationship is over? Well, when you start writing into Ann Landers and asking that question is a good sign. So, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, it's Matthew Film Guy.
Matthew the Film Guy is choosing your streams. Cassavetes on Netflix and other such themes. Maybe you'll watch one and learn a few things. Please recommend me a movie to stream. Matthew, please recommend me a movie to stream. Matthew, Film Guy.
Do you need Matthew and Michael to shift over? You guys shift over.
What do you need? I will do it.
You shift over towards Michael.
How's this?
Okay. Yeah, I know it seems awkward, but Matthew Film Guy can tell you. Can't you tell him, Matthew?
I'm comfortable with male
No, but I'm
closeness.
saying you can tell Michael that sometimes it looks like you're closer than you actually are.
No, this is actually really close.
No, but on camera, it feels like you're closer than it looks on camera. So on camera, it's not coming across that way.
I'm cheating over, as you might say.
Matthew, do you have a celebratory eBay sale for something like this?
No, but I have all my regular eBay sales, which you could pretend are celebratory. Right now, yes? What should I? Right now, I'm in a bit of a fallow area with my eBays.
Now, how do you get into a more fertile area? Like, I don't understand.
Usually it's my mother clearing out her garage and bringing me some really high-quality junk.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But listen, Sam, I came here bearing gifts, not just...
Oof. Look at this.
Oh, yeah? Oh, my God. What is that?
Trump is... Oh, my God.
Looks like The Apprentice.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
It's got to come up in a second.
What is Trump doing? What is Schumer doing there?
Here it is. Okay. So Donald Trump is now sitting down at a desk. This is not in Mar-a-Lago.
And Obama's doing Q&A.
Privilege in this country. We're too deeply entrenched. And yet, all of you came together in small towns and big cities. A whole bunch of you really young.
This is about a
and you
cool
decided to believe.
split screen as we have going on here.
Yeah.
And you knocked on doors and you made phone calls.
The Obama part.
And you talked to your parents.
Yeah, we're the Obama side.
Who didn't know how to pronounce Barack Obama.
You're fired.
And
You're fired. He's sitting at the desk practicing.
You
You're
got to know
fired.
each other.
Do I get to sit here all the time?
And you
Oh my
went
God,
to
I can't believe
communities
it.
that maybe
Where exactly is that?
you'd never even thought about visiting.
I don't know what desk that is. I guess
You
that's
met
like where they
people
do the signings of
on the surface
legislation.
seemed completely
So he's got a bunch of
It's
pens
a
there.
phenomenal desk.
He's going to be signing some executive orders, probably wiping away the NEA.
And yet, once you start
All right, everyone. We got people to make poor, arts to destroy, and earth to desecrate. Let's
All
get
right,
to
let's
work.
put the volume down until Donald Trump starts signing away
1 minute to
the
lose.
things that make this country
Don't
great.
touch that, kid. Don't touch that.
So Matthew, film guy.
Hello, Sam.
What sage cinematic advice can you give us in this era?
If you would allow me before we get into the normal contents of my
Of course.
of my segment, I have something that I think I would like to present to you.
To me, it's another eBay sale.
I mean, maybe this is something that I put on eBay and couldn't sell. Maybe it's not.
Why don't you
but
you can just hand, you don't actually have to hand it to me. You can just present it, sort of in the same way. Oh my gosh, it's a picture.
This is a piece of artwork made by a former Navy private upon his discharge from the USS George Washington, the nuclear carrier. And they gave them these 8x10 glossies of their unit, of their fleet, whatever, and he defaced them, interestingly, in a vaguely political way. And I thought it would make a good addition to the decorations we have going
we're
on
gonna
here.
put
at
that
the-
right in the bathroom. People are going to see
Yeah.
that every time they go take the pee.
Yeah.
Nuclear
It's
war.
better than the picture of you that's
pay
in
taxes.
the bathroom
Yeah,
right
Sam
now.
is such a narcissistic sociopath that he actually put a picture above himself above our bathroom.
Well,
which
I
is
mean, to
very
be fair,
disturbing.
it is-
Yeah,
it's-
I know it's in character. Whatever.
It's the Just
same
Coffee.
principle.
Well, it's the Just Coffee label.
Well, what about Marin? I would be less disturbed urinating.
I don't
in front
have
of
a Marin Just Coffee label. I just found that one, and I said, "Where should I put this?" I know. I'll put it in the. Put it in the. So we'll. There you go. There's a shot of that. Okay, let's cut to
don't know
Donald
if this
Trump's
will
signing
see the
orders.
screen is
Let's see what he's saying.
Current president just had some signing orders. I want to listen in.
Okay, we'll take that pen with it.
This job is so easy. I didn't even do it. Like all I got to do is sign stuff.
This is like saying, yes, I do accept my father's trust fund. It's incredible. Stroke of the pen.
Do I need my dad to co-sign this too?
Yeah. Wait, but my dad isn't alive, so is this legally enforceable?
Hey, Paul, who would you like me to make this out to? Look at Barron. I'm just so fascinated by him. I mean, I don't mean to tease him over.
Which one's Barron? I don't know.
The kid. The kid.
There's 3 kids.
It looks like you added some letters into your name. It's hard to tell.
Yeah. I'm talking about the future. In a second, look at this.
Wrong screen. It's good. You probably saved yourself
Oh,
some time from making.
well, I mean, do we even know?
No, I don't know.
Can we really not rely on CNN to tell us what the heck they're signing?
It's beautiful children. Keep pushing it. That's okay.
Okay, that's okay. The children are breathing on me. Children are breathing on me. That's okay.
Definitely going to want to get peed on later. This is very stressful.
Oh my God. Do I need to be peed on?
It's sort of like, how do you have hookers in Lincoln bedroom? It's difficult. I think everyone should give Donald a
This
chance.
job is not easy. I've got to sign this thing. And
At the end of the day, we're all Americans. Zach?
Yeah, I'd like to give some Venza. So government is getting stingy now.
well,
This is just... it's disgusting.
super creepy. Look at Paul Ryan. He's so happy.
Paul Ryan thinks that he's got his patsy.
I wonder, like, honestly, like, what is going through Paul Ryan's head? Like, you're just going to keep signing and signing and signing and signing. I'm going to bring you so much stuff to sign. And Mike Pence is just sitting there going, like, I wonder how long it's going to be until I'm sitting in that chair.
Paul's like, and Trump's like, look, Paul, I don't care if you make a little money out of me, but if you go near America, I'm going to propose to you.
He's going like, I don't remember. Maybe that's what I said.
Yeah, those are Trump's threats to Republicans as like good things.
Smack him in the head.
If you
All
don't
right.
treat me with respect, I'll propose that children have their nutritional requirements met. Yeah, it's going to be terrible planet Earth. Wait, is Nancy Pelosi instructing him on something he doesn't understand?
Oh, jeez. All right, I can't.
They are all in the same club. Let's be honest, folks.
He's handing out. All right. Enough of joking at my expense. You're all going to be put into a gulag.
Do we know for a fact that he's not selling these pens on his website?
I'll give you a lane. Do you want a lane? Tom is not insulted.
Mr. President, the leader wants it.
The leader should have a lane.
I think the leader should have a pen. By the way, Nancy Pelosi, she cleans up nicely for a corpse.
Oh, they're. I
Am
guess
right?
these are all. Okay, I know what he's doing. All right,
It's all the cabinet
yeah,
members.
he's officially nominating them now that he is actually president. And the pens themselves are. I don't know if they're named, but I think they're a function of like the pen that signed their cabinet position. All right,
we
so
really need to
let's
take
drop this
stock
down.
of ourselves here.
Let's drop it down. What
Don't
do you
we
mean?
need to take stock of ourselves? Like, just, I remember Cornel West saying that Donald Trump was sort of like the logic of our country taken to its most sort of sickening extreme. And I think that that's just something I've been thinking about today. It's like, obviously he's uniquely disgusting and grotesque and everything, but to what extent have we all played in large and small ways, and frankly, to be really clear, particularly white people, in making this possible?
Well, I mean, I think, largely speaking, our society of celebrity and
you say it all the time,
brand
equating
and
money with
Oh,
worth.
well, yes.
I mean,
And-
that's the biggest point. And now, and obviously all of the marketing, celebrity, and brand, and the fact that we've never dealt with our kind of unbelievable legacies of racism and bigotry and sexism. And
Well, that was
here we
Barack
go.
Obama's fault. I mean,
Right,
he
of
was
course.
supposed to-
Yeah.
what a-
I was completely done with all that. But Barack Obama,
Brought it back.
When he said, "You white people disgust me," how great would that have been if he said that today?
It would have been great.
I would have gone to the streets for him to give him a third term.
So there are protests all across the country today, and including in D.C. Just this sort of like, I don't know. Maybe they did this with Obama. I don't know, but this type of coverage is getting a little bit nauseating. So Matthew, film guy, what have you for us?
Well, Sam, on a day like today, I can only suggest that we make ourselves as informed as possible and as willing as possible to fight. So, I have two sides of the picks, as in the last few segments I've done where I've tried to sort of balance the desire to be informed and also my impulse to just get philosophical and large focused. But so for the first issue, it's actually a cool thing that Turner Classic Movies is doing today. I don't know if you heard about this.
Yes, I did.
They're
This is a great idea.
They're showing A Face in the Crowd today, which is the classic 50s movie starring Andy Griffith. And it really does speak to the kind of impulses that have existed in America ever since, ever since mass media, I would say, to be able to hoodwink people with a little bit of genteel, Michael, here's your vodka. Thank you. A little bit of kind of a soft-spoken, or not soft-spoken, but down-home, folk wisdom-y kind of a guy, and yet be the face for corporate fascism, basically, to come to the fore. And that movie encapsulates that as good as any. On the flip side of that, or sort of a co-movie in that vein, I think I might have recommended it before, but today's a good day to watch Meet John Doe by Frank Capra, one of my favorite movies all time for any reason, for the artistic merits, but the political message of that one. Have you seen that one, Sam?
I have not.
Oh, well, I suggest you run out and watch that right away. In fact, that's a movie you can watch with Mila. That's a movie that you can watch with the whole family. It's Frank Capra, so there's no gratuitous violence or swearing or sex or anything like that. But it's basically about a reporter who finds a homeless guy and creates sort of a populist party around him, and he struggles between wanting to do the right thing with his political power and the forces of corporate, fascism again. And it's kind of seen as there's literally a scene where there's smoking cigar men in a room discussing how to use him or not. And so I think those two movies will give you a good taste of hopefully what, like you were saying, Michael, what we ourselves are susceptible to and what we tend to do to our politicians to make them, what we hope we could do, because even Nancy Pelosi, Barack Obama, they're all playing that same basic political game. And I think it comes down to us understanding ourselves better. That's usually what my prescription is for these kind of insane, confusing political moments. Yes, Michael?
What was that? It's definitely not as good as the movies you recommended, but there was a Tim Robbins movie where he played like a fascist candidate who got
Bob Roberts.
But he played the guitar.
Bob Roberts.
What about that movie?
Yeah,
is that worth looking at too?
Yeah,
It's okay.
Feel free to add Bob Roberts to your
Jack
electoral.
Black. That was Jack Black's first film.
Oh,
He
is that
has
right?
a very
I didn't know
small
that.
role in that. It was okay.
No, it's decent. I mean, it's funny. It's a little bit of a. You need something.
What about Gabriel over the White House? Over at the White House.
It's what's that?
Gabriel at the White House? Somebody just IM'd me.
Gabriel at the White House? No, do tell.
I don't know it.
You mentioned Dave. That's another funny family comedy about the shenanigans that goes on inside a White House.
Actually, it's a really underrated, I think. Oh, sorry.
Oh no, I was done.
No, it's Distinguished Gentleman. That's actually a pretty funny movie.
I don't even know.
You know that's an Eddie Murphy movie from the early '90s, and what he does is
You really are responsible for Donald Trump. Just your consumer culture of
no,
the way-
well, I mean, I don't know if liking black comedies is or black being responsible for Donald Trump, but fair enough.
Steve
but
Mnuchin
anyway.
probably produced
Okay,
that.
No, but it's a good. He plays. What's sort of funny is he basically is a con artist, and he discovers that he has the same name as a congressman that's just died, and basically recognizes that like everybody gets sort of reelected to the House based off of name recognition. So he hustles his way into a ballot line. It's in Florida on something called the Silver Fox Party, which is like a senior citizens party. So that's kind of like a funny. It's like it's Clinton. It's definitely written by someone who is either like a former staff person, like someone who knows politics, and he gets elected in this completely fraudulent manner, and then goes to the House, excited to basically like run the big scheme, and then of course discovers that like wait a second, actually compared
Was he
to
helped
these,
by a woman? Was there a love interest that actually helped him see the light?
Yes.
You nailed it, Sam.
Oh my God.
So
it's actually a funny movie.
Yeah.
it's pretty funny. I would not recommend that movie today, but third or fourth on the list.
Here's Donald Trump. Thank you. I'm going on vacation. Going on vacation.
Does he think he's at a bar mitzvah or something there? Maybe that's.
Where are the Jews in the chairs? What's going on?
Lift it up. Let's start the horror, folks.
I'm the guy who gives out the pens.
I'm the guy who gives out the pens, right? I had no idea. And meanwhile, they say this
Even though
job
my
is
vice
so-
president's name sounds like Pence.
President Trump just signed
Oh,
the
my
acceptance
God.
documents there in a ceremony, first
Jesus.
official ceremony signing documents as President of the United States.
Great
He signed a
fucking
waiver,
job.
that
You
will
just
allow,
hand out
General
pens.
James Mattis to become
Don't do
the
shit.
Secretary of Defense. He's only
Great
out of
fucking
military
deal.
service for 3 years, supposed to be out for 7.
What you do
Signed
is you
that waiver
hang the
bill
gay
into
kids
law,
over the
passed
Shark
by the
Tank.
House and the Senate. He also signed
Say, this is
the
gay
nominations
repetitive
for
therapy.
cabinet positions and other senior positions. He had to do that as president. He is now the president. Went through and signed all the nominations for cabinet and other positions that require Senate confirmation, like, for example, the U.S. ambassador to China. Finally, he signed a proclamation declaring a national
all
day
right.
of
Yeah.
patriotism.
So
Drop
Sam,
that sound. Yes.
those are the films that I recommended that I consider sort of the on-topic films.
Must viewing.
Right.
I think those are must viewing.
Yeah, they're must viewing. But I also was moved to recommend another film that is a little bit more, I don't know, disturbing and maybe thematically obliquely related. But it occurred to me that we all need to go and watch on this day the Lars von Trier film, The Antichrist.
The Antichrist.
I don't like
I never saw that
Lars
one.
von Trier at all. Can you explain to me why I should like him?
I like von Trier in a lot of ways. He is an insane man. He is mentally unhealthy, extremely, and yet, instead of
Is he?
channeling what
Is he? I didn't know that.
I mean, you watch enough of his films and you hear enough of his interviews. He's like agoraphobic. He
Oh,
won't
right. I knew
fly
that.
anywhere. He won't.
Who's the other? Winterberg is the other guy, right?
Yeah, Thomas Vinterberg is the other dogma guy. So yeah.
Right.
He's a picture of emotional health, as far as I know. But
I remember when Winterberg was
Melancholia
saying,
is one of my favorite movies. So now we agree on something.
that's great. I mean, I haven't seen it actually, so
Really?
yeah. So I
Was
I
her
reserve.
Celebration?
Isn't
Was that the
something
first
I
one?
someone
have it
that
on
I
my
really
list.
like.
Celebration.
Was that the first?
Yeah, that was the first Dogma film. I do believe. Yeah, The
Celebration.
Idiots, Von Trier's, which is one of my personal favorite
Right.
films.
I've
I
seen
think was second or third.
Those are the. I saw the first couple,
Yeah.
and that was a big deal too because we were doing.
That's
I
right.
was doing that same video stuff.
Digital
at that
video.
time.
Yeah.
They were a little
You could-
smarter in
you-
the
you-
marketing.
Yeah, a little bit, and it kind of was a marketing thing, the Dogma thing. But
Right.
but
Just slightly, Sam.
Anyway, the Antichrist, it's a horribly disturbing movie. I can't even say it's an enjoyable movie, but it provokes the viewer in a way that I think we need to be provoked today. And it has a lot of issues that I think are relevant to Trump's worldview. I mean, it's been called a feminist film, and it's also been called a extremely misogynistic film. So it has a lot of gray areas about the
I've been called both.
way that the film has been received by the people who have viewed it. It actually wound up being one of the first early dates between me and Mary, and the fact that
Oh, my God.
we went to it together and that she was still like okay with me as a person for recommending it meant a lot to the future of our...
Let
Mary's
Matthew
a
put
very
together a
impressive
couple of sentences without taking the microphone away from.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I can always remember where I was.
That's unbelievable coming from you.
What?
That's
Hold on, Cliff. 1 second.
we'll do the harmonies. You sing lead and we do the harmonies. But it's basically about a couple who lose their child in the opening minutes of the film, and they retreat to this cabin in the woods, and just like the woman starts to lose her mind, and there's a lot of issues of like witchcraft, like she may be this sort of supernatural being. The film is actually dedicated to Andrei Tarkovsky, who's
So wait a second. So what does this got to do with Trump?
I'm saying it's a bit of a bank shot in terms of directly related, but the issues of male power, male need to dominate the unseen powers that maybe women are sometimes a little more tuned into, these ideas of rationality versus, what you might call spiritual or otherworldly or metaphysical. I mean, to me, the way it's feminist only in the way that Lars von Trier accepts his own misogyny. He's owning it as like women scare me, and this is why, because I as a man am scared of their hidden powers, and these are the things that we've done as a patriarchy to crush
Diminish
them, basically.
those, yeah.
And it's really like, I mean, there's literally graphic scenes of penile damage. You've seen it, Matt?
Dude, you need
Yeah,
to
I've seen
read
this.
The Alphabet and the Goddess. I just want to tell you that before I forgot.
Oh, yeah?
If you're
You-
interested in that kind of stuff.
When Matt laughed at penile damage, that's when you realized you needed to. Yes. Yeah.
Melancholia has that same theme of female intuition, or it takes it a step further, where she's
No spoiler alerts.
Well, it's nothing too overt.
Right.
But
Like
you
me
know,
saying penile damage is not that big of a spoiler alert, because when you see it, you'll really
You
see
won't
it.
be prepared for it.
No, you won't be prepared for it. And like the natural world is involved in it too.
Oh
Is
God,
it?
I can't. I don't know if I can.
You can't
Selling
see
it on penile damage.
Well, no, I'm warning. It's a warning. I don't watch this with Mila, for God's sakes. Not at least until she's, I don't know, 13. But
I watched this as a double feature with a movie called We Need to Talk About Kevin.
yes, that's a great double
And
feature.
It's maybe the darkest evening I've ever had in my entire
I really
life.
liked that movie.
And you turned out okay. You seem fine.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm up for a
Kevin's
really
a great
dark
guy.
experience
Kevin's
right
a
now.
great guy.
I feel like I'm dealing. You know, I feel like we got a lot of darkness right now. I
Well,
mean,
yeah, but this is about you owning what you may have done to contribute to the patriarchy, to contribute to the kind of society that we have here. And there's a very, I mean, to me, the theme of Lars von Trier sat
Can
down
I
and
just
said,
watch Woman Under the Influence again and not get too?
yeah, all right, Sam. You want to do some extra credit work? You can go watch that. And
Okay.
that counts. But to me, the way that I sum up this theme, the theme of Antichrist, is you remember how we used to burn witches, women who we thought were witches?
I never involved in any. I was never involved in any.
Well, they
Burn her.
they really are. Like that's kind of the theme. Like they actually, that was it for a good reason. But the movie takes
Well, I
itself.
don't know if you mean. I don't think you meant
They
to say
really
that.
are witches. You need to burn them because they'll make you grow old all over, and they're all sorts of bad and scary things. You gotta set them on fire, or else we're all doomed.
Look,
I'm
not
Matthew
saying,
Film
I'm not
Guy.
saying I agree with that. I just think that is what Lars von Trier is brave enough to put out in front of people. Like
Right.
that's what he does, is he puts his own psychoses on screen, and I respect him for being able to own them. You know, so I don't think he thinks he's like healthy, but he's
Talking to the mic.
He's exorcising these things.
Why?
as
How
an
come we
actor.
owning them.
never
It's
talk
about
about?
recognizing them.
Yeah, recognizing them. Yeah.
How come you never talk about Guy Madden? You're not a Guy Madden guy?
I mean, I like him from a aesthetic point of view. His kind of old timey film sort of trickery of his early films. He didn't really ever speak to me completely.
All right.
You like him though.
Is Children of Men as good as I think it is?
I love Children of Men. I mean, it's not like an super art film, but it's a really great sci-fi like Hollywood
that one?
film.
I can't
Yeah, it was
remember
good
that
when
one.
it came out, and now it's just getting. Everyone's
real.
constantly talking about it because
but
of
I remember
the
when it
Should
came
propaganda
out.
Mila like to
element.
see that? Or
No,
not?
no. That would
No.
be too upsetting for Mila.
Well, maybe not.
No, not
you don't
not
know.
yet.
It's no Antichrist.
No,
It's
it's not
nothing like
Antichrist.
that.
But no, give her a couple years. No, because it's happening. I mean, I remember when that movie came out, it was V for Vendetta came out, which was terrible. And it was this very like literalist sort of like, we're gonna have fascism again, and it's gonna look just like the 1940s. And then Children of Men, there's that sort of more metaphysical aspect of women not being able to get pregnant, but the bigger theme of like, there's going to be closed gated communities, and then refugees are going to get blamed for everything, and there's going to be an environmental catastrophe, and there's going to and the other thing that's amazing about Children of Men is that the whole infrastructure is degraded except for the technology. So it's like 30 years from now, everything looks dirtier, less efficient, but the computers are like biometric. And I remember I was terrified.
You know, Michael, I've started to wonder why there's been so many in the past 10 or 15 years of these dystopian corporate futures. I mean, there's always been there since I think film started, ever since
Right.
Metropolis,
Right.
the early sci-fi film. But they're coming fast and furious, and I love them all. I eat them up. Like I've always been into them. Sure, but now just in the last 5 or 6 years, you could talk about TV shows that are doing it.
Oh, yes.
Films. It's almost like we're culturally preparing ourselves for the eventuality that this is going to bring.
I think
Yeah.
there's a couple of things that are working that create that. One is global warming.
Yep.
Is focusing our minds towards the notion, but it's also, I think, the time period, the literal time period, when you are close to in and around a millennium end or beginning, you get a lot of this. You know, a lot of Millenistic cults. I mean, and I think this is the way that we feed that that sense is through these sort of apocalyptic
I mean,
movies.
it's always hard to tell whether the cart is leading the horse in terms of like what Hollywood thinks will make money. You know, like do they put something out there and it's a hit, so they follow it up a lot, or is it just like in the zeitgeist of writers? So when it passes through this ecosystem, that people think like this is going to sell.
But either way, I mean, either way, whether it's the success, it's because of I think the context. I think people are just when you're at the end of a millennium, starting at the year 2000, within that. Anybody who was born in and around that time, I mean,
the numbers seem what futuristic to you, or something?
Because you're at like year zero of 1,000 years ahead. You're very conscious that we're living 1,000 years. I mean, I remember as a kid, you know, when I was like 7 or 8 or 9 or 10, being conscious of the idea of like, we're going to get to the end of a millennium.
Right.
And people were born around that time. Like I was born at the beginning of a millennium. I think it just creates a certain level of heightened consciousness about about apocalypse. I mean, that's, you know, all of it's.
If I recall, around the 1800s to the 1900s, there was a big resurgence in. They called it turntablism, you know, like spiritual seances and all that was a fad, a huge fad that came through there. Maybe it's a similar existential crisis. But I also think that the fact that we can now depict these futuristic dystopias with such like accuracy, like it's just, you know, science fiction's always been an allegory for our current times. But now it's like we can see it all happening. Like
now it's almost journalism.
You should read. Everybody go back and listen to the interview with Peter Fraze. I mean, that's the point of that Four Futures book. Like it exists now. What formula are we going to go into? I mean, can I ask you about one other movie that just RoboCop, which I never saw. I saw that recently, and that was mortifying. How sort of
I'll just say that's like the urtext of my childhood love of the dystopian science fiction. Between that and Running Man and maybe Total Recall. Blade Runner I didn't see until I was in my teens later, you know. But I watched those other ones growing up, and I was just, I mean, the humor definitely still appealed to me. I guess I was 11 when RoboCop came out, or 12, and I just love that movie to death. And it's only gotten better with age.
Can I just
as
add
a parody.
something to the film recommendations?
Why are you asking him? You should ask me.
People are... No, I was just looking at him.
Okay.
I'm not really asking anybody.
I know.
Just
Go ahead.
Start every sentence like that. Because people are feeling that this might be all very depressing recommendations, even though it's depressing day. But
I'll comment on that.
I don't really know because I don't really watch a lot of comedies or anything. So my sister said that Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates was okay. So I will recommend.
What are you talking about?
It's going to be something that Sam hates because he won't watch comedies, and also there's probably a huge party scene somewhere within it, and he
Here we
hates
go.
that.
Which you're so right about, Sam. I remember you talking about that.
But Zac Efron and Adam Devine, whatever, the guy from Workaholics.
I don't think so.
Stop. And Anna Kendrick and Aubrey Plaza, who are real life best friends. It's supposed to be dumb. That's the point, Sam.
Watch fucking Wedding Crashers. It's a great fucking movie. You
No,
go in,
it's
Owen
supposed to be
Wilson
dumb.
and
You're
Vince
supposed
Vaughn
to-
are just
it's
like, we
supposed to-
crash weddings, we bang girls, but then they
It's
fall
supposed
in
to be
love. It
escapist.
is-
And then I was also
it's a
going to
great
say
fucking
that
flick.
Netflix is streaming, and I'm only recommending this also based on seeing the one episode with the Andy Kindler framed photos is Lady Dynamite. So that's
But guys,
on Netflix.
we got to take reality with no chaser in this time.
And let me just say, look.
Well, no, except actual drinking.
Yeah.
I would
Chaser for the drinks, not chaser for the
I
existential
think
angst.
Sound of Music would be a good one.
Well, that's
for
kind of
now
splits
because
the difference.
it's a hopeful, right? I mean, it's like they escape and they make their way through the
Millions were gassed, but some kids can sing and dance. That's good. Listen,
Yeah, good point, film guy Matthew. They escape means this like white family escapes. It's not like a happy ending.
Well,
It's
I mean,
World
I don't
War
know if there was a
II.
huge African population of immigrants.
Jews
in,
aren't white to some people.
In
Jews aren't
Germ-
white to some people.
No, they weren't Jews.
They were in Austria, and and he was part of the resistance or something.
Go ahead. No.
I know what Sound of the Music is. I saw it.
Why would you recommend it? That's terrible.
They escape. And then they end up having a ski resort in Vermont.
Hit it.
High on a hill was a
Well,
lonely
okay.
goat herd.
I'll just say something to address
the
the depression, the D word, which comes up frequently in both my classes and just on the street talking to people. I actually think that watching a movie like Antichrist that is disturbing, that is deeply disturbing, and being able to watch it in a safe setting, like you're in a theater, nothing's really going to happen to you, as opposed to in our political world, things, actual consequences can occur from some of the things that you're afraid of.
It's empowering.
Yeah, it's a way to build your emotional strength. I think it's not just masochistic. I think it's actually an interesting.
It's like taking a warmer shower when it's hot out.
Okay,
When you
yeah,
get out,
I think I'll go with
you
that.
feel a little bit cooler.
Yeah, and I just think that
I'm not saying you take a hot shower, but
you get worse as you repress something, right? If you have to just everything's good, everything's fine, just
Right.
forget it all. It gets worse. It will come out in your shadow side, right? Like
Mhm.
Jungian shadow. If you don't, what you don't acknowledge will ruin you. So I just think acknowledge it all as much as possible. And look, I don't recommend those kinds of movies, but I watch plenty of them in my real life. It's because I just think they're out there and people have plenty of access to them already. They don't.
Armageddon is another one. They make it. They make it through.
Do you like Armageddon?
I'm joking.
Oh, so you actually the thing about you crying was a joke?
No, that actually, I was on a plane. Like when I'm on a plane, literally, I could watch like anything, and I think it has to do with the altitude.
Yeah,
'Cause I don't
less
normally
oxygen.
cry during movies, and certainly not adventure films like Armageddon.
That was the most surprising thing I heard about you.
Well,
I
Sam,
was
if
getting weepy at Armageddon, and that's when I always think like, there's something wrong with me. Maybe I have like some
No,
type
it's-
of blood disease or
it could
something.
be
like,
good if-
and then
Sam,
as I'm on a plane every time.
if lack of oxygen allows you to meet your emotional sort of frequency a little bit easier, maybe you want to do a little auto cinematic
Mhm.
asphyxiation while you're watching movies.
Of course, that's
and you
I-
might get a little bit more out of
I
it.
usually put a clear plastic bag over my
Just
head
for a few
when I'm watching,
seconds.
just for the first.
I'm
like,
quite literally sick.
till we get to
I
intermission.
thought the most disturbing part of the day was Trump becoming president, but I had other news.
You need to put the piece of lemon in your mouth so you wake up if you pass out. Or
I can't take the intensity of it.
Just
Tied around
in
my
via
neck.
CNBC, from politics drawn poorly, in one of first Trump administration orders, Department of Housing and Urban Development suspends reduction of FHA annual mortgage insurance premium rates. I'm not sure about this, but and I got to do a little more reading about this. But one of the things that John Paulson wanted, there was people who I got to check and see what what the implications are of that. But I don't know if it's because it doesn't sound good. I mean, if you have a reduction of annual mortgage insurance premium rates, it's obviously going to cost people, particularly people who whose credit is not very good, and people probably low-income people.
If you have bad
but-
credit, just ask your dad to buy casino chips at your hotel.
Boom.
It's not that difficult.
All right. So last night there were protests out in front of the Deplorable, which apparently
Deplorable?
I'm not making this up, was a celebratory ball for alt-right figures who denied that they were alt-right. And there was a lot of protests outside, a lot of anti-fascist protests. I don't know the natures of the crowd, but there were certainly like I don't know if there were people using black bloc tactics, but this I enjoyed this this moment. I do not encourage 11-year-olds to go out and do this, but if I see one that I think deserves a kudos, well,
11-year-old?
This is Fox News going out and interviewing some anti-Trump protesters who apparently were setting fire to signs.
This fire was started. In fact, this young man, you were participating in the fire. What's your name?
My name's Connor, and I actually kind of started this fire.
So why'd you start that fire, Carter?
It's Connor.
Sorry, why'd you start that fire?
Because I felt like it, and because I'm just saying, screw our president.
Yeah. Okay, well, there you have it.
Oh, that kid is so awesome. Oh, my God. Look at that kid. That restores my faith in America.
There you go. I still am intensely debating as to whether or not I show that to Mila.
He doesn't need to see Melancholia.
No, that guy is great. Can we just watch that again? I found that so
please, one more
fantastic.
time.
I mean, honestly, like I want to say this seriously. I do not in any way encourage 11-year-olds to go out in the middle of protests and light things on fire. I want to make that absolutely sure. But this guy's spirit is so, the exuberance, I think it's important for all kids of any age to have this type of energy in whatever they do.
You know what I will say? I will just say that prepubescents protesting Trump, along with us, they have great spirit. I will tell you.
Great spirit.
I will tell you that they have great spirit. I will tell you.
This fire was started. In fact, this young man, you were participating in the fire. What's your name?
My name's Connor, and I actually kind of started this fire.
So why'd you start that fire, Carter?
It's Connor.
Sorry, why'd you start that fire?
Because I felt like it, and because I'm just saying, screw our president.
Okay, well, there you have it.
That look, when he turns, he goes,
Mic drop.
that guy was
kid is
awesome.
so-
And I also like the
they need to
fact
sell that.
when the news guy gets his name wrong, he's like, it's Connor.
It's Connor.
Say it. Say my name.
You know what they need to do?
Say my name.
They need to play that at every fucking Democratic Party confab and retreat over and over and over again. Like, learn how to do politics from this kid.
Unbelievable.
Awesome. But of course, don't do that.
We got to keep that,
But that kid's
in the hopper because I may need that from time to time just to cheer me up.
That kid's awesome. It's Connor. It's Connor Four Eyes.
I loved the Fox News Facebook post was titled "Fire Starting Child Tells Fox News Griff Jenkins Screw Our President."
That's
Being described as a fire starting child.
That's a fair description. But I've never met fire starting child in such a complimentary way before.
So yesterday, Steve Mnuchin was, and we will talk more about this next week, but Steve Mnuchin went in front of the banking committee, and Sherrod Brown, or I should say the Senate Finance Committee, for Treasury Secretary confirmation hearing. And Senator Sherrod Brown, we should also say, Mnuchin apparently, and look, I won't get nitpicky here, okay? Because there's a lot of times I forget to do stuff. I was supposed to call, I'm looking at my sheet, I was supposed to call Larry yesterday. I didn't do it. Steve Mnuchin apparently forgot to include a $100 million investment that he had that apparently was in the Caymans.
Well, maybe you should be a little bit more understanding. You didn't call Larry.
All right. I mean, I forgot to call Larry, and so Mnuchin forgot the $100 million. I mean, it happens, right? Like, so here's Sherrod Brown questioning Mnuchin, though, on Mnuchin's role. And we've talked extensively with David Dayen about Mnuchin when he was nominated, about Mnuchin's role in basically running I guess what you could call a foreclosure mill, because he had bought his company, had bought essentially these loans that were backstopped by the U.S. government. And for his company, it was much more profitable to foreclose on people because there was a whole mess of fees involved in that. And there was no penalty for his company to foreclose because the government had backstopped. Here are these loans. If they fail, we got you covered on the downside. And so they're like, well, if they fail, we get paid. We got basically insurance on their failure, but we get fees as they fail. And here's Sherrod Brown talking to Steve Mnuchin about it. And Mnuchin said over and over again, look, this stuff is too complicated for you.
Groups say that One West foreclosed on 60,000 families nationwide and denied 3/4 of mortgage modification applications.
I am not aware of that. I know they've objected.
Well, they did.
To a
They
bunch
did.
of
Okay,
things.
is it true?
Well,
that-
if you know they did, then why?
Well, because
why
I
did you
want
ask
you to, I want to hear it from you. If you don't know it,
Well,
that
I
tells
don't
me
have it in
something,
front
too.
of me,
I'm going to keep interrupting because we don't have a lot of time. I apologize if you see that as rude, but this is
I don't
this
see
is
it
the
as rude.
people's
That's
business.
okay. Thank
Is
you.
it true that One West regulators, that's the OCC, said that you had deficient mortgage practices, foreclosed on 10,000 plus borrowers without proper procedure, and at least 23 who were current on their mortgages?
So what I would say is we followed the same procedure
Yes or no?
that the
Did the
FDIC
OCC say that?
that the FDIC followed. We inherited the FDIC
Yes, the OCC has said that.
procedures.
Is it true- Is it true that One West independent audit firm said that it violated the Service Member Civil Relief Act by initiating foreclosures on 54 active duty military families? That's what the independent audit firm said. Yes or no?
Well, you have the document in front of you. I don't. Okay.
Well, they did.
So,
I'm
let me
surpri-
just say, to
I'm
the
pretty
extent-
surprised, Ms. Mnuchin. I'm sorry. I'm pretty surprised you don't know these things because you've been rather defensive for probably good reason about what happened at One West. Is it true that the California Attorney
I
General?
do want to just comment for the record. We unfortunately did foreclose on certain people in the military. It was quite unfortunate. It was inappropriate. We responded to those people and made them whole. As I said, every single person had the opportunity to have their mortgage reviewed, and we corrected any errors.
Well,
Our errors were less than
Perhaps.
anybody else.
Okay, I'm
so
gonna cut
it's
you
not
off
that
again.
I'm
I
being
apologize.
defensive. I'm proud of our
Well,
results.
I wouldn't be proud of all these findings.
Yeah.
To say the least.
We'll talk more about Mnuchin next week.
I just like really briefly. I spoke to some people who had experience at Goldman Sachs, and the sort of takeaway from Mnuchin was like worst of both worlds, in the sense that he doesn't even have the sort of macroeconomic knowledge that you might expect somebody from Goldman to have in terms of just the mechanics of the economy. So he actually is more in line with the incompetence of the rest of the appointments than we might realize. Plus, he's a complete sleaze.
Right. He was just a guy who figured out basically an angle to make money off of people.
Right, and,
a
and
racket.
that's the part he comes from. He was not part of like the sort of complex mechanics that you might deal with if you're at Goldman. He's just a hustler.
Hustler.
And a sleaze, yeah.
Yesterday, President electoral Donald Trump.
We're never going to call him president.
Well, he's the president electoral.
Mr.
He
Trump.
won the
Mr.
electoral
Trump.
college.
Yeah, no, fair enough. But can we just call him Mr. Trump? Would that be okay?
President electoral Mr. Donald Trump.
There we go. And the Trump Organization.
Was at the Trump International Hotel talking about the Trump Organization's cabinet nominees. And he apparently, and this is very exciting, because even though they are highly unskilled at the jobs they've been assigned to, in fact, some had no idea what the department they were going to head. Some called for the elimination of these organizations. Some were surprised to find out that what these agencies did. But there is good news. And here is President electoral, Mr. Donald Trump, telling that to his cronies assembled at the Trump International Hotel.
Tom Price. It was so nice to Tom, right? Where's Tom? Where's Tom? This guy's become a star. Where's Tom? Man, were they nice to me. They were so lucky. It's a lucky group of people, Tom. They wanted to end his career so fast. And then they found out, man, he's smart. We have a lot of smart people. I tell you what, one thing we've learned, we have by far the highest IQ of any cabinet ever set.
He's so obsessed with that.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Highest IQ. So that's good. They may not be skilled at what they're doing, but they're incredibly bright.
So I think that's Trump's way of saying, like, I didn't know about those insider trading scams you were running, man. That didn't come up in the brief. I am so impressed.
I can't wait to not be president. I can do that myself.
The next 4 years are going to do a lot to discredit the concept of IQ, the way Trump is going to be talking about it all the time.
Right. What Trump has done for IQ is like exactly what Ben Carson did for the idea of being a brain surgeon.
Yeah, every time I say brain surgeon now, I mean fucking moron.
This is also interesting, and if we had a functioning press that understood that the important story here is less about Donald Trump's tweets and more about the enabling of Donald Trump by Paul Ryan and the reasons why Paul Ryan is doing it, we would hear more about this indiscretion of Donald Trump's here at that same luncheon at Trump International Hotel, where he retells a story about Paul Ryan's strategy going forward.
Starting to really, really love Paul. We're doing I just want to let the world know we're doing very well together. We agree. I had one thing, he called me up, he said, do me a favor now, maybe, and this was like 2 days ago, he said, let's not talk about the taxes publicly because we want to do this one first. We're going to work on health care. It's very complicated stuff, and I said, I know that. But the problem is I gave an interview about 5 or 6 days before to the Wall Street Journal. So I said, absolutely, I think you're right. I'm not going to talk about taxes. And the following morning, this was an evening call. The following morning, it came out, Trump on taxes, talking about them. So I called Paul, I said, believe it or not, that interview was given 5 days ago. But Paul Ryan's done a great job.
He has this is the way that he deals with his defensiveness. And what's interesting about that is he seems to be genuinely nervous about getting on Paul Ryan's bad side there, right? Like, this is something that he feels like he has to publicly, that's his way of making an apology publicly. And you got to wonder what's going on there, that maybe he has an awareness that, like, the Republicans in the House and the Senate, for that matter, could make things a little bit hairy for him. I don't know if that has anything to do with all of the investigations going on, but there's only one way that Donald Trump gets impeached, and that's when Paul Ryan et al. Decide it's time to impeach him.
Do you remember? You're raising much bigger points, but do you remember the story that Michael Moore used to tell about how when he first encountered Trump in person, it may have even been like the late 90s, a very long time ago. And before they went on the show they were going on together, Trump sort of pulled him aside and was like, we're just going to have fun out there, right? Like, you're not really going to, like, basically take me to task and, do what you do. Like, for all of the bluster and all of the bullshit when it came, and again, and the same thing was when he went to Peña Nieto and the president of Mexico. I mean, in person, he could have not been more obsequious. So that does seem to be a pattern with him. And I mean, I agree with you in terms of his sort of upcoming conflict with Paul Ryan, but at some level, you got to think that all of these guys are sitting there like, well, as soon as we decide that it matters that, what happened with Paul Manafort, Russia, and your election, then you're gone.
We got a good plan B. Yeah. I mean, right now, you are, this is exactly what you want, right? If you're a Paul Ryan, a lightning rod at the top of the ticket who is distracting everybody, who's going to sign everything you bring, which he said at a different point in that same luncheon. I'm going to sign. I told him, bring whatever you want. I'll sign it. And he's Paul Ryan is basically in the catbird seat right now.
To make America poorer, sicker, and dumber, which is their agenda. And so it's it's a balance, and I know we talk about it all the time, like focusing on the specific threats that he poses. But I think we have to start kind of not getting worried about him having a tantrum about Meryl Streep or something.
Oh, definitely.
Really the distraction.
I think there is definitely, and I think we've been saying that for a while, and we're going to continue to focus. I mean, there was a provision that was put into Congress. We'll talk about this next week as well. Provision put in to a congressional bill, which basically devalues. I don't even want to say devalues. It nullifies the value of public lands, literally. We have something like 640 million acres of federal land in this country. There is a provision that has been put into a bill that basically says these lands are valueless, which opens the door to them being transferred to states and to municipalities at zero cost to those states and municipalities, so that then they can turn around and sell these for mining rights, privatize them, and this is how, and I don't know if you, I think I articulated this about 3 or 4 months ago. I said I kept hearing, over the summer, I kept hearing on right-wing radio people coming on and talking about the privatization of federal lands, of national parks. And now I think we're here. They have that, Republican lawmakers have quietly laid the foundation to give away Americans' birthrights, 640 million acres of national land.
Can we get to this?
In a single changes the House Rules of Representatives, they've overwritten the value of federal lands. So these can be transferred, allows Congress, there's no value to these lands, to sidestep requirements that a bill giving away a piece of federal land does not decrease federal revenue or contribute to the federal debt. And there's that. So, all right, now let's cut to, we have
coordinating with military adjunct as well.
Police on the parade route.
Those protests and also the deterrent devices by police.
Protesters are clashing with police.
What does that guy have? Is that a rubber bullet gun?
Allison, there have been some pockets of protests so far.
Yes.
Nothing major.
Right. We've walked by some pockets of protests. We have our Renee Marsh, who is on the scene, who can give us a better sense of what's happening. Renee, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can tell.
Oh, here comes. Look at it.
Very, very chaotic. We have people throwing rocks at police. We also have them deploying pepper gas to get people to stop throwing these rocks. It is true that people are running in multiple directions. Riot police are essentially trying to get this in order. This started out as
I've also heard that there's things
This is happening at the corner of 12th and
happening in New York as well
12th
right
and K
now.
Street. I don't know. Renee's coming in and out. Let's try and keep her going if you can hear her well at home. Renee, let's hear from you again.
If you can hear me. All right, guys. I am at the corner of K and 12, and I can tell it's touch and go because people are running in multiple directions.
Where were you?
Okay.
All right, so Renee's
08,
dropping out. Some of that sound you're hearing, just so you understand, we don't know the full details of this situation, but riot police are equipped with what are called flashbangs. They create light and sound to disorient people in a protest or a riot situation like this. Renee just reported to us that there is some throwing of rocks. There's some dispensing of pepper spray or something like it.
All right, so this
We
is
have
happening
Brian
in
Todd,
Washington.
who is
Let's take a
near
clip.
Brian.
Let's see a clip of what was taking place earlier in D.C. this morning. A Twitter user, Cecily Arenas, posted a video of a Dakota Access Pipeline protest. Here is that video.
We're here in a prayerful manner.
We're here
in a prayerful manner. We're here in a prayerful manner. We're here in a prayerful manner. We're here in a prayerful manner. We're here in a prayerful manner. We're here.
So that was a, I believe, a Native American-led blockade. I'm not sure what street.
I have an item for you that just came across.
What do you got?
It appears in a film guy-related issue that Donald Trump has plagiarized the Batman villain Bane from the most recent Batman film in his speech. If you recall the section of his speech that talked about giving it back to the people, there's literally a line from the movie where Bain says, we take Gotham back from the corrupt, the rich, the oppressors of generations who have kept you down with myths of opportunity, and we give it back to you, the people.
We give it back to you, the people.
Although I will say that Bain is definitely much more self-made than Trump.
I have to say. And by the way, didn't I do a great job at the stock exchange? Everyone says so. My father co-signs on everything I have given back to you, so you know it's real. Father back. Fantastic. Did I tell you?
It's very.
All of my henchmen have the highest IQ of anyone who has ever come.
Maybe that's what he
Washington.
figured. No one could understand it in the movie, so I'll just take it.
I don't know when that came to me. I was doing research, and I can't believe it. We got a clip, though. No, I can't. Of course I can believe it.
It's, you know what it is? It's boilerplate that the movie stole from, like,
Charles.
Occupy that he's stealing from them. So it's,
Right.
you know.
Well, okay. Steve Mnuchin, he produced it. He's my cabinet official. It's mine. I don't know if he produced it. Wow. That's really...
That guy made American Sniper. Definitely need him in there.
So the cops are lining up in D.C.
Can I just make one? This isn't the focus, but I'm very disappointed that President Obama didn't grant clemency to Leonard Peltier. I
mentioned that.
Sort of
Or I
register
don't know if
that.
I mentioned that earlier. I think in the in pitching.
I didn't think he would either.
Or Siegelman, frankly, Don Siegelman.
Yeah, but I mean, I have to say. But look, I mean, with
Right.
Leonard Peltier, the distinction is he's
Right.
absolutely going to die in prison now.
Right.
And in light of what's happening in North Dakota and everything else, I mean, I just want to sort of register that point.
But he's accused of killing FBI agents, right? Is
He is accused of killing FBI agents. A former prosecutor in the case actually wrote a column in The Guardian a couple weeks ago saying he should get clemency. So,
There's a lot of doubt around the facts of that case, too.
yes, very much so.
More than 90 have been arrested during Washington, D.C. protests, according to CNN now. And I will say this, in 2000, there were protests, but there was no television coverage at all of these protests against Bush. And they were hidden behind, off the parade route. And I think, the tactics we're seeing now, both probably on the protesters' behalf and the police behalf, very different. All right, there's a police officer throwing a flashbang grenade in the middle of what appears to be a bunch of media.
Images of the tear gas that can belie that, and again, we're going to have to hold these two images. That's only a few blocks from where we are right now. But
Did Trump not do the walk thing?
They're doing the parade is coming up soon.
That could also just be a deterrent device that they have. If it were
So they
tear
gotta clear
gas,
the
I can
riffraff
promise
out
you those
before they
people
do the
wouldn't be
parade.
staying where the cloud is. They'd be dispersing. So we just lost our live picture from there. We'll get back to it when we can. Now remember, one of the reasons we're showing you it is the main event hasn't started yet. The inaugural parade and its mile-and-a-half
Gotta love it
expanse is
when
going to take place just
the
behind us.
host
And it
talking to
starts
the
in
wrong
about an
camera.
hour from now. And as we've traveled
All
around
right, so
the
we're not
city,
going to be here for the parade. We're going to wrap this up in about another 15, 20 minutes. But I do want to take a couple of IMs. Alex McKinnon, we can see how much white is down there. Jiminy Jersey, they were worried with a large crowd in the rain, the lawn would get trampled. Dodge that bullet. And the one and only Arnold, no chance you actually putting on Raining Blood by Slayer. Seems appropriate. That was an insult to the Russian anthem. Look at all that white down there. You might be the most apropos thing you say all day. As a proud Missourian, I'd like to say from the bottom of my heart, go F yourself, Roy Blunt. And thank you, Sam, for being here today. It means a lot. Ben from Moz. What is it you Americans scheduling things at inconvenient times for us Australians? Not sure if you guys saw, but as Trump was walking out, he seems to have quite a troubled look on his face. Yes, well, I can imagine. Aaron J., Sam, I think you're wrong. People don't have time to come to the inauguration because they're applying for all the jobs that President Trump has saved America. New Human. Just listening. So when you said, look at all that white, just listening. When you said, look at all that white, do you mean the crowd? Well, yes and yes. Bad ad society. Do flashbangs disrupt satellite feeds? Wow, I'm at work and unable to watch. That sounds frightening, the news coverage. I think, it doesn't look as crazy as I think it might sound at this moment. Stuff like that we saw in Oakland during the Occupy, it seemed to me to be a little bit more, but these guys are fully decked out, and there's a lot of,
Right, but this is only one intersection
Right.
that CNN is stopped at, so it's not clear really.
I do think, though, that is part. When we talk about ways of resisting, I
This is
think people
important.
regularly. For the next 4 years, to the extent that we can do this, and another story that we will, I'm sure, start covering more closely is, there's various pieces of legislation in on the state level and nationally to sort of criminalize protest even more, and that's going to be something that
Yep.
we're going to have to really keep an eye on, because I think that the function out, like people being on the street, is the sort of that's the most concrete way of making it not normal consistently.
Yes. Jeremiah, a Navy private, really, Matthew Film Guy? We know you cucks are all too familiar with seamen. Good point.
What was that?
There's no Navy private.
Oh, Navy.
Private is an Army
Okay, whatever.
designation.
Can we watch more movies instead of sailing out to sea?
Helter. Empty space for empty minds. Such tiny hands. Chris Burdick. I hope rain doesn't interfere with the ritual burning of the Constitution. Did I mishear, or did Trump criticize our education system for leaving too many children without jobs? Dolink. TCM is airing Fountainhead and Facing the Crowd today.
Good double feature.
I plan to watch just where Obama's involved, but I'll stick with MR for preserving my sanity. Don't drink, but MJ is good for nausea and anxiety. Lawn Chair Media. Best names for Trump. Still President Electoral Mr. Trump and Orange Julius Caesar. After the rest are just
That's
curse
an
words.
insult to Julius Caesar.
I find 90s grunge music to be soothing at this time. I just shared the song Pets in Facebook by Porno for Pyros. It occurred to me, and this is interesting. I'm not, it's just vaguely interesting to me, but any time that I have spent any significant time in Washington, D.C., which was only, I guess, in the 80s, it was the Reagan era, and it was in the second administration of Reagan. So the city had become much more Republican. And it was a different time, but I wonder how much that influenced, because people are now saying, like, this Washington's going to be horrible to be on. All right, they're moving now on these blocks. They're just going forward. Let's listen to the sound on this.
Well, guys, the police are rushing this group of protesters right here. A flashbang just went off. Bricks and rocks being thrown right here at the police. They have just rushed down 12th Street trying to knock some of these protesters down that way. They've just fired flashbang rounds. They are moving toward these protesters right here, who many of whom have been throwing rocks and bricks. We just saw one gentleman who was down on the ground injured. Some people helped him up. He said he got sucker punched. He was dazed and was helped down the street a little bit. But you might have just seen it as we were coming on. There was a flashbang round being fired, and these riot police have just driven a wedge in the protesters, driven some of them down K Street that way, some of them this way. And as you can see, there's a very tense standoff going on here between the protesters here, protesters on the other side, and the police. There are some black-clad protesters over here wearing masks. These seem to be some of the protesters who have been more engaged with the police from what we've seen. So, guys, I can just kind of narrate as we go here. The police, come on over here, John, if you can.
Is it just
come
me,
on
or
over
is
here
it
with me if
seems
you can.
sort of weak on both sides?
Photojournalist John
Just
Benna and I are going to move
clash.
a little bit closer if we can here. Protesters
Somebody
are starting
threw a
to move
rock
a little bit
at
closer
you.
as well. If you guys
I feel
can
like
still
I'm
hear
in
me,
Mean Girls with CNN. Where I'm like, stop trying to make it something it's not.
Okay,
Yeah, they're making a bigger deal out of
okay,
it.
so the police are now kind of
By the way, that's
strengthening
actually a
their
great movie.
line
Everybody
over
should
here, kind of
rewatch Mean
shoring up their
Girls.
line
Yeah, that's
here.
true.
And I would also watch
And we just saw a bunch of police run
Narcos
down
because
12th Street
no,
that way.
honestly,
I'm going to try to move.
Let's
of
bring this one
course,
down.
but I
Toward the
do
corner. John,
think that there is some lesson to be learned from watching a series about Pablo Escobar and sort of complete narcissism and lack of respect for institutions. I'm not saying it's the same thing, obviously, but and a cult of personality. There's something there.
I wanted
Jim
to
Ro- oh, sorry, go-
mention to Michael that I got a push notification last night from the New York Times and it called El Chapo Master of Escape, and I was like,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. I don't know if he's
When
really.
you
I
just
guess
walk
when
out
you
the
could just
door-
say like, "All right, guys, it's in the account, and I'm leaving now."
Yeah, when
I
they
don't
just
know
like
if that's
open
exactly.
the door and you leave, you're
yeah,
not a
I-
master.
I'm a master.
I love that push. It's like you are taking my bribe now.
Right. And it's the New York Times, and I'm like, man, you guys keep disappointing me, but this is just like, I'm done.
Thank you. That is a really whack notification. Thank you. You're exactly right.
What would that be, like a magician on stage paying the audience to pretend like he disappeared?
Yeah, exactly. You don't see me leaving, audience.
And we're back to Job.
Jim
from,
Ross. Here we are live at the inauguration. What's this? By God, it's Bernie Sanders, and he's got a chair. Mr. Sham, High Majority Report brought whiskey to work with me to cope with this shit. Salvatore, condolences
Vodka.
from Europe. Find
It's Russia.
solace in the fact that Trump is now in a violation of the Constitution and will be gone before moving in the White House. I should hope you're right, but... Senator Cuck Schumer, did you notice that Trump wasn't wearing a flag lapel pin? Fucking Kenyan Muslim traitor. I'm happy now. Menu had a tic disorder. Shows he is nervous. Mnuchin had a.
He did look like he
Mnuchin did.
suffers from some tics, and it doesn't not necessarily mean that you're nervous.
Stephen R., are you saying that Trump's supporters are not really large enough to fill the area? Obama's were big enough. Hey, give me an E for effort. Epish. Betsy DeVos is extremely competent at wrecking Democratic government. See Milwaukee County, dismantling public education. Mark Felt was no patriot. Emotional control is for cucks. I'm kind of serious about this, at least when it doesn't make strategic difference. Deuce, so long and thanks for all the fish. Janeway, reality TV star is POTUS. Can't watch this reality TV star. Eyes burning. Kleptocracy firmly in place. Chris Lapaco. I wrote an adult film about this campaign. It ends with Donald Trump swearing in and Vladimir Putin hacking his Jumbotron. He plays a video of him banging Melania while Donald Trump was watching, and he plays the golden shower video.
He is cack.
Donald Trump runs off stage and learns a valuable life lesson. Everyone starts laughing at him, and he's flashback to his childhood when everyone called him Doorbell Dick
It is a
because he
Scrooge
looks like a
scenario.
button. You shouldn't bully people who make fun of them for their sexual proclivities because they look a certain way. He goes on to become the most successful United States president since Barack Obama, and then he bombs Putin at the G8 summit, starts a nuclear war. The end.
Why? Chris Lapaco is a very funny dude. He really does have where did he develop such a bizarre sense of humor in
I
like
can only
Minnesota?
imagine.
I mean,
There's
honestly,
a lot of tragedy in that story. David from Edgewater wrote a great piece in The Atlantic about how peaceful transfer isn't unique to America or anything to overly applaud or be proud of, especially now. Smart piece for someone I never thought would be dependable voice of reason. Yep. Serial killer. I'll be selling my bags of air from victims of final breaths on eBay. Check my page. Serial killer film guy. Podfish. Film guy should be holding up the Stolichiana. Trump looks very bored during America the Beautiful. Can't wait to get to his long weekend. Oh my God, we get so many IMs.
Stay here until they're all taken.
Attorney Andrew.
It's the least we can do.
There's so many. I just woke up. What happened? Seriously, did you all know Trump plagiarized part of his speech from Bain?
We did after
someone told us. Yeah.
By the way, I'm doing a great job. Everyone says so.
I've got to say, Paul Ryan. Good guy, Paul Ryan.
Good guy. Gotham is not sending their best. They're sending criminals, rapists, people with a lot of problems.
We'll take back America.
Also, last night I listened to Slate's Political Gabfest, I guess because I hate myself. They discussed the efforts to repeal the ACA. Notable, they spent literally 20 minutes talking about the politics of the move. When they moved to discussing the effects of repealing and possible replacement, Emily Bazelon said that she's really interested in Tom Price's plan to give health care policy back to the states by allowing them to opt out of federal law by creating plans that cover more people. This is already in the ACA. There is already a waiver in the ACA.
Can I just be an anecdotal pushback on the rising premiums and deductions? Mine did go up one year, but then the next year it went drastically way down, and now I have a zero deductible policy.
You should huddle with Kelly. Can y'all brainstorm some puns and slogans to put on signs for tomorrow's protests?
James Comey. No one likes that.
I get it.
James Comey.
Yeah, I already got it.
I don't get
it.
Spell it COUP and then
He's making a cool joke. He's trying to do a Nixon throwback.
I think that'd be a good T-shirt actually.
Between Sam and some other people, my sort of opinion of Comey has become far more complicated. Even though his behavior during the election was obscene, but I legitimately think I do think that there's an investigation going on, and I do think that Comey is actually genuinely concerned about what's. I mean, not in any way to defend his content.
There's no way to know. There's no way to know. But it's
that is the strongest reading of the anecdotal evidence available.
But
we could still make fun of him.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. What else could people put on their loser president, illegitimate, not really president, half president,
Tiny hands president.
Tiny hands.
Loser.
President. I like president electoral myself.
I like trust fund baby in chief. Orange Mao.
All right. I honestly, there's so many. Lawyer Matthew, closing music for REM today at the end of the world as we know it. Oh, that's a pretty good idea.
Didn't Colbert do that with Michael Stipe a couple of weeks ago? Is that true?
Oh, is that right?
I kind of missed REM just before.
All right.
Sort of.
We got to wrap it up here. We'll be clocking in at 3 hours when we do. Let me take one call. Hanging on for 51 minutes. You're calling from a 402 area code. Last call of the day, of the week, of the beginning of this new horrible era. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Hello, this is Ben from Nebraska.
Hello, Ben. What's on your mind?
Well, this is really a trite point. I know it's morass going on out there, but in concert with the Bain quote, I'm pretty sure the first quote of Trump's speech was the "We're standing at the doorstep of a new millennium." Well, that's from Bulworth. That's the line that Warren Beatty says that kind of he focuses on that like the inciting incident of that film. That's all I had to say. I wanted to compliment Matt on his Frank Capra recommendation. I think that's the kind of institutional analysis that we need to refurbish. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ben. I appreciate the call. You know, it would not surprise me if this guy, with this guy's intellect, if he didn't say, like, I need some ideas, populist ideas, or Bannon, right? I mean, Bannon was
I think Bannon is
a Hollywood guy.
Bannon is someone who actually does know that type of move.
And
it's actually quite disturbing how quiet he's been for the past sort of several weeks. It's very eerie. Yeah, well, I mean, he's smart enough to keep off of the radar, but his agenda and what he's doing hasn't gone anywhere.
No more calls. We're going to take. Everybody's going to get 2 letters. Matt, start with you.
G.
Going down the list here. G. Here we go. Gulfstream 2. I wonder how many of the military are wondering how long it will be before they're faced with a dilemma of refusing a presidential order. I got to think that that's on the mind of at least a decent number of people. Kelly, what letter?
B.
Perfect. Beefy Richard. I don't think Swedish vodka is appropriate here. Matthew should have bought Russian Standard. I believe he would execute the office of the President of the United States. I believe the Lou Millennium thing and Von Trier movie about power. The boss of it all. Dikatorin det Helle. I don't, sorry. Michael, give me a letter.
R.
R.G. Bryan. Maybe you've already shown, but do you have 2008 inaugural footage for contrast? He seems to wait for applause that doesn't always happen, indeed.
Where is it? What's happening?
Wait a second. Bannon, you told me they would applaud now.
So basically, what you do is first you give the Bonanno family the fucking national parks.
I
Then you give the Gambinos
I watched
China.
the Batman movie like you told me, and after Bane said that, they applauded.
You know what's so messed up is that you're still being optimistic at that impression, because that would mean that Bannon was fired tomorrow.
Yeah, I guess.
The Bannon lines didn't work.
The Bane
You're fired.
lines, not great.
Bannon
Not great.
lines, sad.
Not great. The Bulworth lines, good.
Thank you, Kelly.
I'm going to make another prediction. We're going to hear of another movie, at least maybe one or two. Network you'd think at least they'd be obscure movies, right? Matthew Film Guy.
Yeah.
What letter?
Another R.
Another R. What an attitude you got, buddy. Classic Matthew Film Guy. Reformed conservative 26 made sure to personally protest the inauguration by taking a dump at the same time the swearing in. Didn't help. Still feel sick. Well, good for you.
R for regret.
That's another tact. Matt, your final letter of the day.
D.
D. Oh, a D, he says. Let's go down. Well, not as many D's as one would
Trying
imagine.
to find Doug, Matt.
Here we go.
You.
Donan
Subversive.
Inc. Hey, guys, Trump plagiarized part of the speech from Bane in the Batman movie. We already knew that, so Matt, do another one.
T.
I'm going to do another D. Sorry. Danny, from this moment on, it's going to be America first. So how does this differ from what Americas have ever done? Barack Obama.
Barack Obama many times would apologize for America.
First of all, I'd like to say you white people discuss.
Behind.
Leading, did you just do? That needs to be a drop.
He led from behind.
He led from behind.
Look at Libya.
We will not do that. No. And Batman will not stop us.
How awesome would it be if Obama then came out quoting Batman?
Yeah, Obama does need literally Obama needs to be out every day quoting Batman starting now.
I'm the president that we need.
Honestly, when Trump does stuff like that, what needs to happen is like Chuck Schumer needs to go up and quote another movie. And so that's the way you get that stuff into the news.
To quote Tony Montana,
You don't even say that.
First you get the money, then you get the pussy. That's why we support comprehensive immigration reform.
You don't
I'm
even say
Chuck
to
Schumer.
quote Tony Montana. You just go, you want a piece of this?
Say hello to
Say
my
hello
little,
to my little friend.
To quote Connor, that young man whose exemplifies exemplary leadership, I'm setting this fire because I screw the new president.
Kelly, letter.
D for the D-man.
D
Dennis Miller.
for the D-man, Dennis Miller.
He's my favorite comedian.
I'm gonna nail that. We have last Denver Dave, climate change document removed from White House website. Oh, fantastic. Michael.
S.
Snicker. Hey, Sam, how much will the doomsday clock be adjusted by now? My God, this is really happening. Now, my God, this tweets alone take a day off. How is he going to tweet now? He gave up his phone.
Well, there's ways to figure it out.
Matthew, the final I am. of the week and of really an era. Well, let's be hopeful. I think we're going to be around by Monday. Maybe. I don't know. It depends on how long the fallout takes. All right, go ahead. Michael.
Give me
Matthew.
an F.
Give me an F. Is there an F? Funk Walrus. Zappa ripoff this week. Oh, that was the Jimmy Reefer Cake. All right, folks. Michael's got good guests on Monday, he claims. We'll see about that. If we're still here, if he decides to show up on time, the show will be at noon. And are you going to say?
Of course not.
Oh.
Well, one of them is Melissa Byrne, who I'm looking forward to speaking to, running for the second position at the DNC and a Bernie organizer.
There you go.
So there's one.
Folks, hang in there.
eBay.
Film guy Matthew.
They're not sending our their best. They're sending their rapists, their murderers, and I'm so sure more nice people.
I'm sure some of the people of Gotham are decent people, but the rest of you...
I want to see a long-form birth certificate. Can that be the last thing I say?
We really don't know about the birth certificate. I have not seen it. Have you?
I have private investigators in Hawaii, and they are finding out things that you wouldn't believe.
You should thank me for forcing him to show the birth certificate. So, little Marco. Oh, is he?
Lion Ted. Lion Ted.
Show up, but Lion Ted.
So there is the end of the American experiment. Thank you, everyone.
All right, let's roll this thing up. Folks, thanks for joining us. This was America. And
it ended weirdly. Started good.
Folks, hang in there. This is we got really no other option but to fight, resist, to keep ourselves sort of engaged, have other people engaged, encourage engagement, support it, bear witness. We're going to have to do two things at once. We're going to have to both. And who was it that the guest we had on that expressed this? We're going to have to. Who was it? I think it was Corey Robin. I think it was. Yes, we're going to have to do. When David Frum writes that piece, we're going to have to be supportive, but simultaneously, we're going to also have to continue to push an agenda, ideas, and a politics of a country that we envision. So, the beauty is, might as well be single payer at this point. Full-throated support. And, simultaneously, we still got to get guys like David Frum's back when and if this shit really hits the fan.
And, of course, Stein, 2020.
Looking good. Looking good. And just shame about that. Shame about the federal lands and the everything else.
If you have enough healing crystals to keep you through the next 4 years, you'll be fine.
All right, folks, hang in there.
Not crystals.
We'll see you next week.
I'm going to be using them. Bye.
Have as good a weekend as you can. And, also, the protest tomorrow in Washington, be safe. Be safe. And Kelly's upset because I said be safe. So forget it. See you on Monday.
It might take all the strength I got to get to where I want, but I know somehow I'm gonna get there. I wasn't looking when I just in a light bulb, but finding I guess somehow I lost my drive.